This is 14-year-old Nazia Harris. She went missing in Detroit January 9, 2024. Nazia was reported missing by her grandmother, who is also her adoptive mother. Although her body has not been found, the suspect in this video, Jarvis Butts, 42 years old, is facing murder charges among others. This is the trial for Nazia Harris.
Nazia was allegedly pregnant by the 42-year-old suspect at the time of her disappearing. Detectives found Jarvis Butts had searched for abortions and abortion pills, and what would happen if someone drank red antifreeze.
Devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang bang, got my hand on the trigger. The devil in a red dress, call 911, I'm a killer. You know I hate to confess. Bang bang, got my hand, call.
First District Court is now back in session. Please remain quiet.
Okay, we are on the record. This is case 2459617, the people of the state of Michigan versus Jarvis Butts. Appearances, please.
Good afternoon, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Matthew Makepeace on behalf of the people, P82796.
And good afternoon, Your Honor. Good afternoon to your staff. Ladies and Citizen Services by Ken Riggins, P82125 on behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts.
Good afternoon, Neighborhood Defender Service by Cheryl Quick, P83973, also on behalf of Jarvis Butts, with co-counsel Lauren Butler. Lauren Butler, P88126.
And Mr. Butts, will you stand up and state your name?
Yes.
Okay, can I have a seat? All right, who will be doing the next witness?
Judge, that'll be me, and at this time, people would call police officer Derek Wolf.
Mr. McKee and Mr. Riggins.
Yes.
Or someone from the defense counsel. Can I have you all approach the room? Or back on it?
What have been?
You can have a seat now, please. Okay, so the brief sidebar I had with Mr. Makepeace and Mr. Riggins regarding Officer Wolf. I just want to put on the record that Officer Wolf is an employee at 36th District Court. I do not have a personal relationship with him, only a working relationship in which he comes into the courtroom in 234 to do his job as a court officer. I want to make sure with the people in defense there's no objection to me hearing his testimony today.
No objection.
Okay, I'll swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay, you can begin.
Hey, can you say your name for the record, sir?
Derek Wolf.
And what do you do for a living currently?
I work at 36th District Court as a court officer.
And how long have you worked at 36th District Court?
2 months.
And prior to that, where did you work at?
Detroit Public School Police Department.
And how long did you in total work for the Detroit Public Schools?
17 and a half years.
You worked for DPS for 17 and a half years?
Yes.
And how long have you been in law enforcement in total?
39 years.
Before DPS, who did you work for?
I retired from Detroit Police Department.
And what were some of your common roles and responsibilities at the Detroit Public Schools Police Department?
We go to the school. Sometimes we talk to the kids. We take care of the building, take care of the principals, we take care of the family, and make sure everybody's about the law.
And in January of 2024, what was your assignment at the DPS Police Department?
I was assigned to investigations.
And as part of that assignment, does that include going out and taking reports from people who are making police reports to the school police department?
Yes.
Okay. I want to direct your attention to January 10th, 2024. Did you go to J.E. Clark School in Detroit?
Yes.
And what was the reason you went there, sir?
I got sent there by my lieutenant about a missing 13-year-old young lady from the school.
And when you went there, did you speak with someone who was making that report?
Yes.
Who is that person?
I talked to her guardian, or grandmother, which is her guardian.
And is that Annette Harris?
Yes.
And in terms of taking that report, what's that process like? I don't want to go into what anybody said to you, but what information are you looking for to gather to put into your report?
Okay, I was making a missing report. So I asked Ms. Harris, when's the last time you seen her daughter? Her granddaughter. What description of what she had on. Has she ever been missing before? Does she have a boyfriend? Or she have friends she might go by the house and stay? Things of that sort.
And did you ask Ms. Harris all of those questions and get her answers?
Yes.
And then did you write an actual report?
Yes.
Okay. After you write that report, do you have any role in actually investigating to attempting to locate the missing person?
Yes.
Okay, what did you do after writing the report?
After I did the report, I canvassed the area looking for this young lady, although she was gone for at least 24 hours because she was missing the day before. And then from that point, we didn't find anything. So I found out the bus number that she was on. I got the video, and it shows where she got off the bus at Cornwell and 3 Mile.
Say Cornwell and 3 Mile?
Cornwell, 3 Mile.
Okay.
And from that point, like I said, we went to the house, talked to the guardian again, talked to some of the people in the house, and then we went on in and let it go from there.
Sorry, just to be clear, you keep on saying we. Are you doing these things with a partner?
Yes.
And who is that partner?
Dale Gardner.
Okay. Judge, may I approach?
Yes.
I'm approaching with what's already been admitted as People's Exhibit 2. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
And what is that is contained in Exhibit 2?
School bus.
And is that a still shot from the video that you pulled or that you received?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the bus that you identified that Neziah Harris was on?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, one more.
Okay.
I have none.
Yeah, me. Mr. Wolf, you were dispatched to the J.E. Clark School because you're an investigator for GPS.
I was not dispatched. The lieutenant came to the office and told us to go by the school for the missing.
Oh, so you were requested, your presence was requested at the school.
Yeah, from my lieutenant.
You don't have an office within the school,
No.
so you're not like the school resource officer per se.
No.
Okay. And you said you met with Miss Annette Harris on the 10th
Yes.
and that's in January of 2021.
January. Yes.
That was early in the morning.
Around between 11 and 12.
So school was in session at that time.
Yes.
Did you speak with the teacher who was in Neziah's classroom on the 9th of January?
No.
Did you speak with any of Neziah's known friends?
In the investigation, yes.
You did. Who did you speak to?
I can't recall that.
Did you write them in a report?
No, not in this report.
Okay, so you spoke with folks, but you didn't record their names?
I recorded it probably on my run sheet, but not inside the missing report.
And you didn't take statements from anybody?
Not at the time.
Ever?
No.
Okay. Did you speak with anybody else at the school about Neziah, either on the 10th or any time after that?
Only on the 10th, I talked to the guardian, which is the grandmother, and a couple of students.
A couple.
Yes.
Okay. Do you know how many?
A couple, too.
Two. Okay. Just want to make sure we're there's the same definition of a couple. And you said you canvassed the area?
Yes.
What area did you canvass?
The 3 Mile area, we were all around there, checking the alleys, knocking on doors, seeing if we can get some video, doorbell, camera footage, things like that.
3 Mile, is that 3 Mile Drive?
3 miles in Cornwall, that area.
Okay, and that's where the bus stop was,
Yes,
where Naziah would have gotten off the bus?
yes.
Anywhere else around the school?
We checked around the schools, we checked on, matter of fact, on her street as well. We didn't find anything.
In her classroom, does she have a locker or a cubby or anything where she stores items?
I can have that question.
You don't know?
I don't know.
Fair to say that maybe you can check.
I may have, but I can't call it now, because it's been such a long time.
Is there a report that documents whether you did or not?
No.
And after you did the canvas of the area of 3 Mile Drive in Cornwall, what else did you do?
I went back to the station, advised the lieutenant of what we came up with,
Which is what?
which was, I talked to the parent, the grandparent, talked to college students. We didn't find anything from doing our search of the area.
So did you do anything else in regards to investigating?
No, I did not, because I was getting ready to retire, so I was done.
Okay, I don't have anything further.
Any redirect?
Very good. How long, you were first notified about this on the 10th, correct?
Yes,
And how long did you stay involved in the investigation?
that day,
Okay, so your activities that Ms. Quick asked you about contained all happened on the 10th of January?
yes.
What happened to the investigation after the 10th?
If someone else's investigation would have took over, besides me, because once again, I was leaving. But I gave all the information that I had along with my one sheet as well. So,
It was passed off to another investigator?
yeah, it would be, yeah.
Okay, and then are you aware of what happened after that?
No,
Okay, and you said that on the 10th, your lieutenant came in and asked you to go to J.E. Clark?
yes.
And who is your lieutenant?
At the time with George Harris.
I'm not good at that.
That's clarification. You said you were leaving. Are you mean leaving DPS or leaving? the day?
Retiring.
Okay, thank you. Any questions based off of my question?
No, no.
Okay, you're all done?
And further this fact will call forensic tech Margaret Laval. Margaret Laval.
Raise your right hand.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Yes, sir. Watch your step. One, two, three.
Good afternoon, Chief Station name for the record.
Margaret Lavala.
And where are you employed?
Currently, I'm employed with the Macomb County Medical Examiner's Office
And when did you start there?
in July of 2024.
And before starting there, where did you work?
I worked with the Detroit Police Department as a forensic technician.
And how long did you have that job?
I was there for about 6 years.
And what, as a forensic technician, what are your roles and responsibilities?
We would respond to scenes in the city of Detroit. We would take photos, collect evidence, search evidence, and then compile a report based on our findings.
And I'm going to take you back to March 14th of 2024. Were you working with Detroit Police as a forensic tech at that time?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you working alone or with a partner?
That day I was working alone.
And I want to take you to the area of 7 Mile and Berg, Center City, Detroit.
Yes, sir.
And were you dispatched to that location on March 14th, 2024?
Yes, it was.
And what is it that you did at that location?
At that location, there was a wooded area just south of 7 Mile to the west of Berg. And we searched that wooded area for evidence related to a potential missing person.
Okay. And what is it that you did when you search?
I'm sorry, what was that?
What is it that you do when you search an area?
We will canvass the area in an ordered fashion, myself along with the other officers that are on scene. We are looking for things that are out of the ordinary or might suggest that something had taken place at that location.
Did you know what you were looking for at that location?
We were looking for clothing and shoes.
And did you take any photos?
I did.
And did you collect any evidence?
I did.
Okay. And I want to show you, and I may have people proposed exhibit 14.
Yeah.
Showing you it's market people proposed exhibit 14. It's a PowerPoint. Could you tell me, do you recall going to this area?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And do these photos, there are 129 of them, do they fairly and accurately depict the scene of 7 Mile and Berg as you saw it that day, back on March 14th, 2024?
Yes, I do, to the best of my recollection.
And Your Honor, I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 14.
No objection. Okay, they'll be admitted.
Thank you. Did you end up finding any evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
What evidence did you find?
We collected a pink jumpsuit, bodysuit style, and then a black hoodie that had a pair of white headphones in one of the pockets, some gloves, a towel, and a pair of red, black, and white gym shoes.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yeah.
Says you have to allow me.
Okay, try it.
And what, so this is in People's Exhibit 14, this is gonna be photo 2. What is it that we have here?
So this is the photo card that we would take at the beginning of processing any crime scene. It includes the date, the time, the location that we're responding to, as well as who is the current officer in charge that ordered us out to that location, the crime or suspected crime that we're investigating, as well as my name, the code that I'm working, and the report number that is assigned to that case.
Okay. Now I'm gonna not go through all 129 photos here. I'm gonna show you some that I want to reference. This is for record purposes, photo 30. What do we see here in photo 30?
We are looking west down, so that fence on the left of the photograph is the fence for an abandoned building at the south end of a parking lot on the west side of Berg. We are looking west towards the Rouge River into that wooded area. You can see what is that pink jumpsuit in the background of the photograph.
Okay. And in 33, what do we see here?
That is one of the black, red, and white gym shoes that we collected from the wooded area that I had previously stated.
Okay. And would it be fair to say that's a left foot shoe?
Yes.
Okay. And in picture 35, what do we have here?
That was a photograph of the inside of the shoe, of the size tag.
And in 37, what do we see here?
Again, we are still looking in that wooded area. That is the black jacket that was collected. It is towards the front of the photograph, kind of behind that tree branch.
And in 42,
that was a close-up of the black hooded jacket that we recovered.
okay. And would it be fair to say that you opened up the jacket, or is this how you saw it?
We did open up the jacket to examine it, yes.
Okay. And in 45, what's in 45?
So that is looking in one of the pockets of the jacket.
And can you see what's inside the pocket at that point, or no?
That photograph, I believe there is a paper and might be the pair of headphones.
Okay. And in 47,
Yes.
what are we looking at there?
So yes, that is the paper and the pair of headphones that was recovered from that pocket.
Okay. And 50?
So that is going to be the hood of that hooded jacket. We noted that there are several holes in the jacket of unknown origin.
Yeah, and 52, what do we see here?
Again, we are looking into the wooded area. You can see that pink jumpsuit that is stuck in the branches of those trees.
Okay. And in 63?
Again, a closer shot of that pink jumpsuit.
In 78, what do we see here?
That is the right foot of the red, black, and white shoe that was recovered that was located in the trees near that jumpsuit.
Okay, and is that fair to say the right foot?
Yes.
And 79, what do we have here?
That is a photo of the inside tag of that shoe to show its size.
And an 88.
That is the pink jumpsuit that we recovered.
And 89.
That's a photo of the size and the label of that jacket. That jacket jumpsuit.
And in 120.
That is a photo of the Rouge River.
Okay. So how close was the Rouge River, I guess, to the area that you were searching?
So there was a large parking lot just off of the west side of Berg, and then there was an embankment leading down to the river. I would say less than 500 feet.
What condition was the evidence that we just saw in the photos? What was the condition of it?
It was wet. It was dirty. It was currently raining when we were out at that scene. So.
What did you do with the evidence once you photographed it?
Once it was photographed, I collected it and took it from the scene. The items that were wet, we then brought to the Detroit Police Department evidence garage, where we had a drying chamber so that that evidence could be dried in a safe, secure, and way so that any type of DNA evidence could be preserved. And then once that evidence was then dried, it was packaged and processed and submitted to the DPD property unit.
And you would have been the one who placed those items in the drying chamber?
Yes.
And are you also the one who placed them on evidence afterward?
Yes.
Nothing further, Greg.
Ms. Brock?
Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
So I believe you said that it was raining on the day that you were dispatched out to this location at the site.
That is correct.
Had it been raining most of the morning?
To the best of my recollection.
When you were dispatched out by somebody at DPD,
That is correct.
when you arrived at the site, were there already people on scene?
Yes, ma'am.
How many people would you say?
Approximately 10.
And were they all Detroit police officers, or were there other people there as well?
Everyone that I spoke with was with the Detroit Police Department.
Okay. Could you say for sure, certain that everybody there was DPD?
No.
You were notified prior to leaving, or when you got there maybe, what evidence or what items you were actually looking for?
They told us we were looking for clothing.
Okay. Were you under the impression that somebody had seen something and wanted you to come out and photograph it and tag it?
Yes,
Okay. So you weren't the first person out there to see it.
that is correct.
Do you know who originally had seen the items?
I do not.
So you didn't speak with anybody about where they initially located them?
I spoke with the officers that were at that scene, that called me up to that scene, and they directed me to where that evidence had been located.
Okay. But you can't say for sure where the items were located before you got there, fair to say?
Correct.
Did you see anybody else handle those items?
No,
But again, you couldn't say for sure that nobody did.
I can't say what happened before my arrival on the scene.
One of the items was a black hoodie, right?
That is correct.
Fair to say that it appeared pretty weathered.
Yes.
I think your report notes that there's like spider webs on it,
Yes.
some detritus sleeves, that kind of thing.
Yes.
There was also a pink bodysuit.
That is correct.
Now that was not on the ground, correct?
No,
That was in some branches a distance away.
that is correct.
About how far away were those two items from one another?
Not that far, but I can give an estimate right now of distance.
Okay, yeah, I don't want you to guess. Fair to say that the jumpsuit didn't necessarily appear similarly weathered to the hoodie?
No, it did not.
It did have some like dirt or stains on it,
It did, yes.
but it wasn't quite as weathered, I guess, Same word I used.
I would say so, yes.
So you collected the items.
Mm-hmm.
When you did so, did you wear disposable gloves?
I did.
Did you wear a new pair of gloves for each item that you collected?
I did.
And each item went into a separate bag?
That is correct.
It's got its own tag?
Yes.
And then you yourself drove them to this evidence garage?
Yes.
Now, this evidence garage, where is it at?
It's located at 11631 Mount Elliott in the city of Detroit.
And you yourself checked them in at the garage?
Yes.
What is the process for that?
So it is placed on in our evidence tracker system, and there is a label in there to say that it is at the garage for drying. So it was noted that that was where it was going to be. The drying chamber is in a locked room, and then the chamber itself is also locked. So the key was acquired from my sergeant, my supervisor, to get into that room. The items were then hung up in a way that they were not touching each other. They did not come into contact with each other during the drying process. Then this chamber was locked back up. The door to the room was locked, and the key was returned to my supervisor. Then after 24 hours, then I returned to then collect that evidence, where it was all packaged individually in their own bag, and then that was then taped, secured, and turned over to property.
And you did all that yourself?
Yes, ma'am.
So when you took each of the items out of their respective bags, again, did you wear disposable gloves?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you change those gloves every time you handled a different piece of evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And then when you recollected them, you put them in fresh bags?
Yes.
And you, again, used disposable gloves?
Yes.
And did you use different ones every time you
Yes.
handled each item?
Yes, ma'am.
Don't have anything else, thank you.
Just briefly, Mr. Ball, when you place these items on evidence, are they each given like a specific evidence tag number?
Yes,
Okay, and could we just go through those really quick? If you have a report,
I do.
okay, if you need to refresh your memory at all, please let me know. And if you want to refer to your report, to refresh your memory, just let us know, okay?
Sure.
So for the, red, black and white Nike gym shoes, those were placed in evidence?
Yes.
And do you recall what tag number they were?
Can I refresh?
If that would refresh your memory, yes.
So those were item 84.
Okay, and that black hoodie, that was also placed in evidence?
I'm sorry, I don't know if I check again to refresh.
Yes.
So the black hoodie was item 85.
And, what about that pink bodysuit?
That was going to be item 86.
Okay. And, the headphones and paper, did you package those separately or, together?
Can I refresh my report? Look at my report.
I think that would refresh your memory.
So the headphones and paper were packaged together because they came from the same pocket under item 88.
88? Okay. And there were a couple other items that you also placed in evidence?
That is correct.
Okay, what were the other items?
There was a pair of gloves that was recovered from the wooded area as well, and a brown, blue, gray towel. It was a dirty towel, a dirty wet towel from near the parking lot.
Okay, and did you place that towel in evidence?
Yes.
What number did you place that on?
May I refresh?
Yes.
So the towel was 82.
Okay, and what about those gloves you were talking about?
The gloves were 83.
Okay. Was there any other items?
There was like a Ziploc bag that was recovered from the other jacket pocket that was placed under item 89.
Okay. And anything else?
Not to my recollection.
Okay. Was there any kind of rubber bracelet?
Oh, sorry. Yes, there was a rubber bracelet that was recovered from that wooded area as well.
Okay, and was that in evidence also?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and what was that based on?
May I refresh?
If it would refresh your memory, yes.
Thank you. That was item number 87.
I think really rich.
You all done? Fine, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Next witness.
At this time, people would call Talacia Moore.
Watch your step right here. Step this way, raise your right hand.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Yes. Watch your step.
Right here. They got a phone in your lap every night.
Thank you. Could you say your name for the record?
Talacia Moore.
And, excuse me, Ms. Moore, I'm gonna ask you a couple questions, but first I wanna ask you, do you know someone by the name of Cordell Wright?
I do.
And how do you know Mr. Wright?
He is the father of my nephew, my 17-year-old nephew.
So, your sister's son?
Yes.
Got it. And is that how you met Mr. Wright?
Yeah.
Or your sister?
Yes.
Okay. And in what context is your relationship with Mr. Wright? How did you know him? Did he ever do anything for you? Things like that?
He fixed my mother's car. He worked on her car.
Okay. And what kind of car does your mother drive?
A red Jaguar.
And what's your mom's name?
Jacqueline Campbell.
And going back to January of 2024, where were you living at the time? Not your specific address, just the city.
Ypsilanti.
And who else lived with you in Ypsilanti?
My mom and my son.
Okay. And would Mr. Wright ever come out to Ypsilanti to fix your mom's car, her Jaguar?
Yes.
How often did he do that?
Like a couple times. At least 2 times. 2 times.
And was that around January of 2024?
That was the last time.
In January was the
Yes.
last time? And when he would go out there, would he bring anyone with him?
This last time he did.
What about
For the last 2 times. So before January 9th, him and someone else came, and then on January 9th, they both came.
Okay. And the person that he brought with him, do you see that person in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And could you point to him and identify a piece of clothing he's wearing?
Well, I can only see the top of his head right now.
Are you 100% sure that it's that person? Could we have everyone remove their masks, Judge, just for a brief moment?
If everyone in the courtroom could remove their mask if they have one on, please.
Ms. Moore, do you see the person that Mr. Wright brought with him?
I do.
And could you point to him and identify a piece of clothing he's wearing?
A green one-piece thing.
For the record, the witness has identified Jarvis Butts, the defendant in this matter.
So reflected.
Thank you. And you said Mr. Butts came up how many times with Cordell?
At least 2. So this last time in January and the time before that.
Okay, and the time before that, who was anyone else with the 2 of them?
No.
And what were they doing the time before January 9th?
Working on the car. I can't remember. It was a couple of things they had to fix on it. And they came out and did it in the driveway. And
Sorry.
I was just gonna say the last time when we got the car towed to the shop and they drove it back up.
Okay. And so in between the most recent time before January 9th, the Jaguar, correct me if I'm wrong, was towed to Detroit?
Correct.
Okay. And then on January 9th, did you see that red Jaguar again?
Yeah.
Okay. Who brought that Jaguar out to Ypsilanti?
Cordell and Jarvis.
Okay. And was anyone else with Cordell and Jarvis?
Yes.
Who is that person?
Naziah.
And I want to clarify, at the time on the 9th, when Cordell, Jarvis, and Naziah came, did you know that that was Naziah Harris?
No.
Do you know that now?
I do know now.
Okay. And is that based on information you've learned or seen in the news and things like that?
Well, it was based on when the detectives came to the house to question us. That's when I found out who she was.
But at the time on the 9th, you didn't know?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a no?
No, yes or no. I did not know.
Now, let's talk about when they came out on the 9th, January 2024. What was that interaction? How long did it last? Can you kind of take me through start to finish their visit and delivering the car?
So they came, they delivered the car. They were talking to my mom about what was wrong, gave her the invoice. It was just like a regular day when they came in, they sat on the couch for a few minutes. Messiah was sitting in a chair by the TV. We spoke very brief. Asked her if she wanted something to drink. She didn't. My 6-year-old son ran up to her, the dog. It was just very mellow. They sat there, we talked about the car and stuff. We talked about my nephew. Cordell was trying to wait till my nephew got out of school, but because he was on tether, they had to leave. So they didn't get to stay long enough for my nephew to come.
And your nephew would be Cordell's son?
Cordell's son, yeah, correct.
Did you talk to Mr. Butts about Messiah? Did he introduce her or anything like that?
We just asked, hey, everybody spoke. He said this is his niece, and that was pretty much the basis of it. I cannot remember if he said her name or not, but he did introduce her as his niece.
And so, just to be clear, not sure about the name, but he said this is his niece about Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a yes?
That's a yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. And then after that conversation, let me ask you, during that time when they were there, did you notice anything that was unsettling or concerning about Messiah?
No.
It was just a normal interaction?
Yes.
After that interaction was over, did the three of them, Cordell, Jarvis, and Messiah, leave your house?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as you know, they were headed back to Detroit, correct?
Correct.
When they left, whose car were they leaving in?
Cordell's truck.
And all three of them were in the same car?
Yes.
And you said that they were delivering the Jaguar to your mom or to your house, right?
Yes.
Did you see them pull up? Do you know what the driving and seating arrangements was?
I do not.
I really agree with this.
Okay, Ross?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So you're technically not related to Cordell, right?
Correct.
That's just the uncle. He is
The father.
of your nephew. Okay. How would you say your relationship is with Mr. Wright?
It's cool. Like, no issues.
You got along with him well?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
And you know Cordell worked as a mechanic?
Correct.
Okay. And how long has he worked on your vehicles? Was this something new, or have you worked on your vehicles previously?
I think he might have changed the oil on one of my cars a couple years back, but not that frequently.
Okay. And you knew he had did you know he had a shop that he worked out of?
Yes.
Okay. Had you been to this shop?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that there was a time prior to January 9th that he came up and worked on the car, correct?
Correct.
And you said that my client was with him that time.
Correct.
Do you recall when that was?
It had to be in the summer. I cannot recall the exact date.
But it was summer of 2023?
Yes.
Okay. And that was the first time you had seen Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Did you say anything to him that day?
Yes, we talked about me being a member of Zeta and that he had a cousin or somebody that was a Zeta. We all went to O'Reilly's to get some parts or something for the car.
Okay.
Stopped and got something to eat, came back, but it was very mellow, like.
So that summer of 2023, you had a fairly decent conversation with them, correct?
Correct.
And it lasted for a period of time, correct?
Correct.
So on January 9th, when you saw him, you knew who he was.
Correct.
You had recognized him because you had spent time with him, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So you had the car, and you knew that he was partnered with Cordell at the shop, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So on January 9th, approximately when did you have the car towed down to his shop?
I think we had it towed maybe like the 4th or the 5th.
So it was there from the 4th, okay? And it was the 9th that they brought it back?
Correct.
Okay. Do you know approximately what time the car was brought back?
Had to be before 3:30 p.m.
It was.
Well, no. It had to be before 5:30 because my sister got off work at 5:30. So mid-afternoon.
Okay. But you're not sure the exact time?
I'm not sure the exact time.
Was it light or dark outside?
It was still light out.
Okay. And they came up, they pulled the Jaguar in first, the driveway,
Correct.
right? And then Cordell's car was behind it.
I believe so.
Okay, when they pulled up, did you see them exit the vehicles?
No,
Okay, so you don't know who was driving?
I don't.
Okay. So at that point, they came into the house, correct?
Correct.
And did they all walk in together? Or
Yes.
Okay, so Cordell came in, followed by Jarvis, correct?
I can't tell you the exact. I don't know if Naziah walked in first or Jarvis walked in first.
Okay. And this young lady, and to be fair, you didn't know who she was.
Not at all.
Do you recall what she was wearing when she came?
I think she had on a jacket. But I can't really.
Don't recall?
No.
Okay. Do you recall what any of them had on that day?
Not really.
Okay. So, do you recall, without going into your house, was it dark, light in your house? Were the lights on?
The light room.
Okay. And you have a fairly large living room?
Yeah.
Okay. So, when they came in, you said that Naziah sat next to the television.
So yeah, if when you're coming in, there's like a red cabinet type thing. The TV sits on top of it, and then there's a chair right, like a chair sitting right next to it, and that's where she was sitting.
Okay. And when she came in, did she introduce herself?
She did not.
Okay. So she came in, sat down, right?
We offered her to see, like, came in, Cordell said hello. He was doing most of the talking. Jarvis said hello. Said, this is my niece. Then was like, y'all have a seat.
Okay.
Cordell sat on the couch. There's a couch this way, and then a long couch this way. And
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And I was just gonna say, I believe that they were both on this couch. Naziah was in the chair, and me and my mom were on the longer couch.
So your mom was there?
Yeah.
Right? All right. And you all were conversing, correct?
Correct.
And it's fair to say that you weren't conversing with Naziah, correct?
No.
You were conversing with Jarvis. I'm sorry, you were conversing with Cordell.
Cordell and Jarvis about the car and the invoice that they brought.
All right. And you said at some point your son came up and was talking with Naziah?
Correct.
Okay. And how long did this conversation last?
Like all of our conversation?
Right. How long were they there?
Probably between like 30, 45 minutes,
Okay.
maybe an hour.
And while they were there, you didn't notice anything, and I think you've already mentioned this, you didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, correct?
Correct.
Did you see Jarvis Butts conversing with Naziah Harris?
No.
So they didn't have any conversation?
No.
Okay. And you didn't notice anything awkward or out of the ordinary between the two?
Correct. I didn't notice anything.
So after about an hour, they left?
Correct.
Was it light or dark?
It was still fairly light.
All right. And they got into Cordell's car, correct?
Correct.
You don't remember the scene, I think you've already
No,
said
I do
that.
not.
But was Cordell driving?
Correct.
Okay. So that day you didn't think anything out of the ordinary happened, correct?
Correct.
And at some point, you were contacted, correct?
Correct.
When were you contacted?
Well, we were contacted by Cordell the next day because when we paid the invoice, it was $70 short. So we had to get Jarvis's cash app to send the rest of the money. So that was the last part of the conversation. And then the detectives came, I want to say the end of March,
So the end of March, so,
I believe. I don't know the exact day, but it was at least a month or two later.
and it was when the detectives came, is when you found out that the person that was in your house was Naziah Harris, correct?
Correct.
All right. And did they tell you that this person was Naziah Harris?
They asked me if I knew who she was, and they asked me if I knew who Cordell was. They showed me a picture of Mr. Butts. They asked me if I knew who all these people were, and they asked me if I knew her name, and I did not know her name at that time.
Okay. And they told you her name?
Honestly, I don't know.
Okay. And at any point, did you look up why they were there or look up any information about this case
Yeah, after they left.
after they left?
Mm,
Okay, and what did you look up?
Objection, relevance.
I just want to see where her information came from.
As long as the results of what she looked up.
I want to see the information that she had, does that go into her testimony?
Go ahead.
There's obviously there's podcasts out that are a bit unfavorable.
It's not obvious.
Well-
I don't know.
Okay, you don't know. Okay. When did you look up?
I looked up Mr. Butts' oldest record,
Okay.
but I tried to type in his name, I typed in Cordell's name, tried to see if anything came up. At that time, there wasn't anything posted, but I didn't find much, other than his record.
Okay.
Any redirects?
Yeah, very. Ms. Moore, Mr. Reagans was just asking you about information that you looked up and things like that. When the police were at your house, though, and the detectives were at your house, first, do you know if those were Detroit police officers?
Yes, Detroit police detectives.
Detectives, okay. And you said that they showed you a picture of, in court, you said Naziah, right?
Say one more time.
They showed you a picture of Naziah at that time, correct?
Correct.
Did you identify that picture when the police were there as Naziah Harris? Did you say her name?
No, I said that's the mechanic's niece.
So just to be clear, you identified her as the girl that was at your house
Correct.
with the defendant, Jarvis Butts.
Correct.
Okay. And that was before you had looked up any information?
Correct, because I didn't know anything until the detectives came to the house.
And while Naziah and Jarvis and Cordell were at your house, you said Naziah was sitting next to the TV?
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Yes.
right? And did Naziah, during that 30 minutes to an hour, ever get up and leave, use the restroom or anything like that?
No.
And you mentioned earlier that Cordell was on a tether and that's the reason he had to leave, right?
Correct.
Do you know what Cordell's tether hours were at that time? Like what time he had to be back home by?
I don't know.
How far of a drive is it from Detroit to Ypsilanti?
Probably about 40 minutes
And what was the reason that Cordell had to leave again?
because he said he had to be back in the house for his tether.
Okay, so did it seem like he was in a little bit of a rush to get back, or he was cutting it close maybe with that drive 40 minutes?
No, I think he had whatever he needed to do, and he just wanted to make sure he was in the city on time.
But is it fair to say that he would have left somewhat closer to his cutoff time? If that's the reason he left, or that he said?
I think that calls for speculation on her part.
I was gonna say, I don't know. I'm sorry.
Do you want to respond?
If she knows, I think it's a close call.
If you know the answer.
I don't. I can't say.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, we are done. That's fine. Thank you. Watch your cut.
Walk away, baby. Walk up to the living room, and they'll take your name for it.
Hi. See you later. You and
Raise your right hand.
You sort of tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Okay. Watch your cut. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Wilkins.
Okay.
Okay.
Go to your name. Can you please state your name for the record?
Tijuana Buds,
And how old are you in the bus?
46.
And do you someone named Jarvis Butts?
Yes,
How is it that you know him?
he's my brother.
Okay. And how old is Jarvis Butts?
42.
And do you know his birthday?
Yes,
When's his birthday?
November 21st, 1982.
And do you see Jarvis Butts in the courtroom today?
That's how I'm walking in.
Okay. And can you point to the color of the clothes that he's wearing?
He has on the latest dark green shirt. He's sitting behind the lady to the side of you.
And you're going to read the reflected list identified the defendant in this case.
So reflected, and just to be clear, you said I saw him walking in. You saw him when you were walking in or when he was walking in?
When I was walking in just now,
Thank you.
And Ms. Butts, where did you know Jarvis to work?
he worked at a shop on Warren and F, called Frank's, and then he moved to a shop on Hopper and Connors. I don't know the name of it.
And Ms. Butts, do you remember talking to Detroit police back on February 26, 2024?
Yes,
And what's the reason that you went and talked to Detroit police?
I had reason to believe that I saw Naziah the day she went missing.
Tell me about that. What makes you believe that you saw Naziah on the day she went missing?
Where do you want me to start? It's a lot.
So, from the very beginning, where is it that you think you saw Naziah?
At the shop on Harbor and Connors.
Okay, and whose shop is that?
My brother Jarvis Butts and his partner.
Okay. What's the reason you were at your brother's shop that day?
Something was wrong with the car that I was driving, and I just needed him to check it out to make sure it was safe for me to drive.
Do you recall about what time did you go to Jarvis's shop that day?
About 4 p.m., give or take a few minutes.
Okay, and around what time did you leave?
Somewhere between 6 and 6:30.
Okay. And what is it that you noticed while you were at the shop?
So it's a car, like garage. So I was sitting outside of the shop in my car because they were working on another car on the inside. As I sat there for the time that I was there, I kept seeing a little girl get in and out of his truck, going to the gas station and going back to his car.
Okay, so I want to stop you right there. Whose car are we talking about?
My brother.
Okay, and what kind of car was it?
I believe a Cadillac Escalade.
Okay, Do you remember what color?
Kinda like a pearl white, off white cream color.
Okay, and you said you described this as like a two garage shop?
Yes,
Okay, and I want to approach the people's exhibit 7.
Okay.
Now, Ms. Butts, do you recognize what is it we're looking at in people's exhibit 7?
yes.
Okay, and what is that?
That is the shop
Okay,
right in the middle.
and where at were you parked when you saw someone getting in and out of Jarvis's truck?
In front of the car doors of the garage right here, I was parked facing, I don't know what direction it is, but going towards Gratiot. I was actually in front, but outside.
Okay, so you were kind of parked parallel with the road.
Yeah,
Okay. Can you draw a T where your truck was?
my car.
Yeah, your car was. Yes. And then put an arrow the way you were facing. And where is it where that Jarvis's truck was? Just put a J where Jarvis's truck was. And what way was his truck facing?
It was facing my direction, so the front was
Towards you. Okay, so put an arrow for that direction. Now, do you get a look at this little girl that you see getting in and out of his car?
I saw her, as she was walking. I never saw her face.
Did you see any clothing?
I did.
Okay. Did anything about the clothing stick out to you that you remember?
I just remember her having on a colorful jacket.
Okay. And what door, which side do you remember seeing her getting in and out of Jarvis's truck? Or did it change?
I don't really remember.
Okay. That's okay. So you said you mostly remember a jacket, a colorful jacket.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to show you what's marked as People's Exhibit 2, which is already admitted, and People's Proposed Exhibit 10. Here, may I approach?
Yes.
Handing you what's marked as People's Exhibits 2 and 10. Okay? Do you recognize anything in those photos?
Yeah.
Yes?
Yes.
What is it that you recognize?
Right here, this jacket.
And for the record, you're pointing up in channel 1, and you recognize this like pink colorful jacket?
Yes.
Okay. And that's in People's Exhibit 10? Your Honor, I would move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 10 as Exhibit 10. Is that a fair and accurate depiction of the jacket that you saw that day?
Yes.
Your Honor, I move for the proposed People's Exhibit 10.
Any objection? Okay, it'll be admitted as People's Exhibit 10.
Okay. And in People's 2, is that also, where is the, what you recognize in People's Exhibit 2?
So it looks like channel 2 here, maybe.
Okay, facing the back?
Yeah.
Okay. And you recognize the jacket in this photo too, right? Yes.
It's a little blurry, but it looks the same. to
Okay.
me.
And what about in channel 1 of Exhibit 2?
It will be this one right here.
Okay, and it's fair to say that's the back of a jacket? It seems to be the back of a jacket? Okay, thank you. And you said that you saw this little girl with this jacket on getting in and out, going into the gas station?
Yes.
Okay. Did you know who this little girl was at the time?
No.
Okay. Is there a time that you ever get out of your car?
Yes.
And what do you do?
I needed to use the restroom, so I asked his partner if I could use the restroom. He told me to go and tell him in the gas station. And as I was walking toward the gas station, she was walking in front of me going into the gas station.
Okay, so about how far in front of you was she?
I would say maybe where the gentleman in the gray blazer is behind you. Maybe a little bit further, I'm not really sure, but about that distance.
From where you are to them?
Yeah.
Okay. And whatever that estimates.
20, 25 feet?
I'd say I would agree with about 20, 25 feet. And you said you never got a chance to see this little girl's face.
No, I didn't.
Was there anything else about her that you can remember?
I just remember her being kind of small, like outside of just seeing her get in and out of the car. When I was walking towards her, I was like, she's tiny, and I just remembered the coat.
Okay. Tiny, like in what way? Like tiny, skinny, short?
Kind of skinny and short.
Okay. And did you ever ask Jarvis who the little girl was?
Yes.
And what did he tell you?
He told me, and I can't remember if it was this exact word, or he said it's my partner's niece, or he said it was King's niece.
Okay.
But
You knew who he was referring to?
yes.
Okay. Did you think anything of it at the time?
No.
Okay. And what is it that made you think something? Was there a time when you thought something different?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that made you think something different?
I received phone call, well, a video call from one of his kids' mom, and she told me about some things that happened on Valentine's Day, and then she sent me a video of a podcast about my brother.
Okay. And what did you do as a result of receiving those things?
I called Shannon and I asked her for Sergeant Jones' phone number.
Okay. And who's the Shannon that you called?
His kid's mom.
Shannon Harris?
Yes.
Okay. Do you do anything before you go and talk to Sergeant Jones?
Yes.
Okay. What is it that you do?
Okay, so after having a conversation with Shannon Harris and his other kid's mom, I was informed that his partner King, I guess something happened where the
Objection, this is hearsay.
It's not a statement yet, Judge.
Being informed.
I'm not sure what she's even about to say.
Okay, just to the extent that it's informed of someone else's statement.
You might have to object in a couple moments.
You need to speak up.
If you could stand up and
Please.
make your objection.
Yes, just objecting to the fact that she was informed of something. It appears this might be hearsay. but
Okay.
we'll see together.
Could you finish what you were saying? I don't know where you were going with this.
I'm trying to remember where I left off. Okay, so after talking to Shannon Harris and his other kid's mom, I was informed of some things that had taken place I think Valentine's Day. So they told me that his
So
partner
objection.
King
Okay, so
That
at
has-
this point, this is hearsay. They told me in a lack of personal knowledge the things that she was informed of.
Can I finish?
1 second. What is an
Sorry.
objection?
I'm
Everybody-
sorry.
The witness has to stop talking.
So based on those, do you go and talk to someone else?
Yes.
Okay. Who do you go and talk to?
His partner King
Okay. And where is it that you go and talk to King at?
at the shop on Harbor Encounters.
Okay. And without telling you what King said, kind of describe what was your conversation about?
Well, I went to see what happened. and what was going on. During that time, I told him that I had never seen any little girl at my brother's shop besides my nieces, outside of the little girl that I saw getting out of his truck that day.
Okay.
And you told this to who?
King,
And who is King again?
his business partner,
Okay, and do you know his government name?
uh, I believe it's Cordero or something like that. I just always call him King.
Okay. So you went and told him that you hadn't seen anyone out at the shop besides your nieces and then just the one little girl you saw that one day.
Yes.
Okay. Did you ask him about that little girl?
Well, I didn't ask him about it. After I said that to him, he told me.
Objection, Your Honor, this is going to be hearsay again.
Judge, it's gonna go to the effect of on the listener.
There could be an exception. I don't know what she's saying. So you might as well just stay standing up. Go ahead, say what you're gonna say.
After I mentioned to him that I had only saw my nieces and one particular little girl, he then told me that that was Naziah that I saw that day and I was there.
So would objection given now that she has testified to that it is hearsay, that it is being introduced for the truth.
And Judge, I would say that it's actually a statement of identification.
But this is not an identification that she personally made, she's just being told.
When she saw Naziah that day, so it's.
She didn't know who it was, I mean, she had no idea who this was. That's
She didn't
not
know
her
who she was.
identification.
So it is hearsay.
Okay. So without saying what King said, were you informed of anything about a little girl that you saw on January 9th, 2024?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, Jefferson told you that that was King's niece.
Yes.
Okay. And when you talked to King, did you have reason to not believe what Jarvis told you?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know your nieces from Jarvis? That is a poorly worded question. I'm sorry. If that was your niece, would you have recognized her that day?
Yes.
Okay. And you did not recognize this little girl as your niece, did you?
No.
Okay. What is it that you did after speaking with King that day?
I called Shannon Harris and I asked her for Sergeant Jones' phone number.
Okay. And did you eventually talk to Sergeant Jones?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry about that. What day was it that you went to the shop and saw the little girl?
Can I ask you a question? I didn't remember the exact day at that time.
Okay. What is it that makes you believe that it was Naziah Harris that you saw on that day?
I'm not quite sure how to answer what you're asking me. Like,
And That may be a poorly worded question. I'm sorry. Can I just have 1 second, Judge?
Yes.
Ms. Butts, did you come to learn of the day that you had gone to Jarvis's shop by going through the locations on your phone?
Yes,
Okay. And that's the day that you don't remember off the top of your head right now, but it is revealed in your phone locations?
yes.
Let's see here. When is it that you went through your phone locations to determine the date? I'm sorry, do you need a moment?
I believe it's February, I think the 24th or the 26th. I can't remember the exact date.
Okay, that's when you would have went through your phone to find those?
Yes,
Okay, and, did you also go through that in your interview with Sergeant Jones?
yes,
Okay. And did you give Sergeant Jones permission to look at your location data?
yes,
And your phone kind of extraction in general? Like to go through your phone for the data?
yeah.
Nothing else, Judge?
Okay, bye.
So you go to the shop where your brother works periodically, right?
From time to time, yes,
You've been there prior to the day you've been talking about today,
yes,
a couple times at least,
yes,
and you've been back there after.
yes.
But the day we've been talking about, that's the only time you ever saw a child there?
That was the only time I saw a child I didn't recognize.
Okay, so you had seen other children there before?
Yes,
Okay, when you say that you recognize, these are who exactly?
my nieces,
And when you first arrived at the shop that day, Jarvis told you that he wasn't gonna be able to work on your car?
no,
No? Did you ask him if he'd be able to?
Judge, I think it's called for hearsay. They can't admit statements of the defendant.
I'm looking more so for her own statement, actually.
For her what?
Let's start with her own statement.
Okay.
Did you ask him right away if he would be able to work on your car?
I talked to him prior to coming to the shop.
Before you arrived, you asked if he could work on your car that day?
I asked him to look at my car today.
Okay. Did you arrive at the shop with the understanding that he would or would not be able to?
I arrived at the shop knowing that he was going to look at my car.
Okay. 1 moment. And was that via text or call or some other way?
Probably video call.
Okay, so a video call a little bit before you headed over?
Earlier in the day, maybe.
Okay.
I'm not sure exactly what time.
Okay, so that's how you decided that you'd go over later.
He told me I could come.
Judge, this is kind of all calling for hearsay in a backdoor way.
The response is hearsay. Not that you
Yeah.
necessarily asked for it, but it is hearsay.
Sure, we can
It'd be
be
stricken.
stricken her own. So to be clear, we don't need to talk about what he said to you, but you did a video call to him. And in that call, you asked if he could work on your car.
You keep saying work on my car. I said look at my car.
Okay, look at your car, but you asked him personally in the video call.
Yes.
Okay, and that was maybe that morning?
I don't remember what time of day it was, but it was before I went to him.
Oh, thank you. Okay. And as you were saying, this day, I think you said you saw some other children there at other times, but this particular child, you only ever saw this child on this particular day.
Yes.
And the whole time you were there, from your testimony and from that police interview, you said that you never saw her face.
Yes.
And then you did also see some news stories about this case.
Yes.
Yeah, in the podcast that you talked about. Right, there were some podcasts.
I had already saw her on the news, but I did not know who she was.
Sure. But that was, by seeing those stories, that's how you started to think.
Well, I was sent the podcast after some other things that was told to me. That's when I received the podcast.
So initially, between the day you were at the shop, right, and then until you started to see that news, at first you didn't make this connection that maybe she was anyone in particular.
Not at all.
Okay. And then through seeing that news, those podcasts, that's when you started to think she
No,
was.
that's not the reason why I thought that.
No, but that's the timing, or it's not?
I guess you could say that.
That's when you started to, at least when you saw those things, that's when you started to wonder.
I was wondering before I saw the podcast.
Okay, in your police interview that you did, did you tell them that at first when you saw the news, you didn't really make a connection because of not having seen her face?
Yes.
Okay. So that interview was on February 26th, 2024, right?
Yes.
And you were having some trouble remembering some of the specific details from January 9th at that point?
Not so much as remembering maybe the order I remembered it in.
Okay, were there some times at least though when you were asked some questions and some details that you had to say, I can't remember some things?
I can't remember now.
Okay. Would you agree that at least
Like,
when you-
it's been a minute.
Okay.
I probably did. I guess it would be safe to say because I didn't know.
Okay, so you think it's safe to say that at that point in time, there were at least some details you were having a hard time, some questions you couldn't answer?
I can't disagree.
And it was pretty close in time, shortly before that police interview, that was when you first started to think that maybe this girl you'd seen at the shop had been Ms. Harris.
Can you repeat that?
So the first time you started to think that maybe that child, the one you saw, maybe that was Ms. Harris, that was pretty close in time to the police interview.
Maybe about a week or so before.
Okay, I believe, does it sound right to you that I think you told the police that it was on the Thursday prior to the interview?
Whatever the Thursday was after Valentine's Day.
Okay, so probably February 22nd. That was the Thursday prior to your interview.
Okay.
And then when you were at the shop, you primarily saw this child while she was inside a truck, right?
I didn't know it was a child in the truck until she kept getting out.
Okay, but when you saw her, she was in a truck?
I saw her getting out the truck, yes.
And were you inside your vehicle?
Yes.
You arrived in the daylight, right?
Yes.
And that's, I think, what you're referring to, right? Initially, that's when you didn't yet know somebody was in the truck.
Can you say that again?
So at the beginning, when you first got there, right, you didn't know right away that somebody was in the truck.
No, I didn't.
I think you had said before, because it was so light outside, it was a bit difficult to see into the truck.
I wasn't really paying attention to his truck. He was outside of it.
Sure. And then in your police interview, you referred to then seeing a light in the truck, and that's when you started to see somebody?
Yeah, just when the door opened.
Okay, so there's a light turned on, and at the same time, a door opened?
That's the reason the light is on.
Okay, because the truck door was open. Yes.
Sure.
And you said that you saw a couple different times her go back and forth to the gas station?
Yes.
And only one of those different times you were on your way to the gas station as well.
Yes.
But for that whole time, she remained in front of you?
When I was going into the gas station, she was in front of me. When I walked into the gas station, she went to the left, I went straight, and over to the right.
For that walk over to the gas station, was it getting dark at that point?
It was already dark.
Okay. And while she was in the truck, you were not sure exactly which part of the truck this was?
I can't remember, no.
Okay. So you understood initially that when you arrive, you probably have to wait at the shop sometime?
Yes.
I think you referred to just one other car you worked on first. Is that all there was before you?
It was actually another vehicle out there, but I don't pay my brother to work on my car, so I had to wait until he was done making his money. So I waited.
Sure. So do you know how many cars he worked on before he got to you?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you know if there were any other customers present in person?
I did see someone, I can't remember what kind of car they was in, but it was, I believe, a gentleman, that needed to pull into the garage because Jarvis asked me to move my car out the way because I was blocking the garage, so yes.
Was this someone you recognized at all?
No.
So in total, other than Jarvis, or who you refer to as King, was there anyone present that you recognized that day?
No. Just King and my brother.
So as you said, the sun set while you were there. Do you know about how long it was light out before it got dark?
Well, I got there about 4 o'clock. It didn't take long for it to get dark. I don't remember the exact time, but it got dark pretty fast.
Okay, and then other than when you went to the gas station, were you always at the shop?
What do you mean?
So
I'm
did you
sorry.
go anywhere else?
No, I never left. All I did was move my car when he asked me to move my car. And once the driveway was clear, I back where I was. I didn't go anywhere else.
Okay, and when you were present, not going to the gas station, were you always inside your vehicle?
Yes,
Were your doors open or closed?
closed.
Okay, and were your windows up or down?
They were up unless I asked him something.
Okay, so sometimes if you needed to communicate, you just open the window.
Or I would call him, yeah. Yes.
And you were saying today that at one point you did speak to Jarvis about who this girl was.
Yes.
And when you were talking to the police about this, you had said that you weren't sure exactly what his response was.
What I said was I wasn't sure of the word.
Sure, that's what I mean. That
Okay.
You told the police, right, that it might have been King's niece, or maybe you said it's my homeboy's niece.
He said it was his partner or King's niece, but he definitely said it was someone else's niece.
Okay, and does it sound right to you that you used the term homeboy's niece with the police?
I probably did.
Okay.
Sound thing to me.
And then that's what you continued to think at first, right? At first, you just believed that it was someone else's niece.
Yeah,
Specifically, you thought it was probably King's niece.
that's what I was told.
Which I think is we established that King is the same person as Cornell, right?
Yes.
And then after that, you would listen to some of these podcasts and to the news.
I listened to his kid's mother, and then I watched the podcast.
Okay, so those are some things that happened. Oh.
Yes.
And then once you started to have this different information you were gathering, then you kind of started to look into it for yourself,
Yes.
do some of your own investigation.
Yes.
And then at one point following that, that's when you decided to go back to the shop
Yes.
to speak to Cornell.
Yes.
and to discuss some of these things you've been learning with him.
Yes.
You and Jarvis are not particularly close.
I wouldn't say that we're really distant. I don't see him every day. I don't talk to him every day, but he's my brother.
Okay. He's your brother, but you don't have a very close relationship, or?
He's my brother.
What about with his children? Are you close with his children?
Some of the ones that I know.
So he has 13 kids, right?
I have no idea.
Do you have an idea for how many kids he has?
A lot.
Okay. Do some of them live with different mothers?
Yes.
And you don't spend time with all of them?
No.
So which ones do you know?
I don't want to say their names. They're minors, and I don't want to disclose their identity.
Could you just give like a number instead? How many do you know?
I'm counting. About 8.
So when you say 8 that you know, does that mean 8 that you have like personal contact with?
I have.
Okay. When is the last time that you've seen any of them?
About 2 months ago.
Were you and Jarvis raised by your grandmother?
For the most part.
And were there some events surrounding her death that related to your relationship with Jarvis that impacted some things?
No.
Oh, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Any redirect?
Yes, Judge. Ms. Butts, you said that there was another reason, there's a different reason that she thought that it was Naziah that she would saw that day. When you were starting to compile, or when you talked to Shannon Harris, and then you got the podcast, before that, you said there was other reasons why you thought that was Naziah.
So, am I?
Yes.
Can I speak for?
What is
Okay,
that?
so, at the time, I didn't know. Once I realized that it was a possibility that I saw her, there were several reasons that led me to believe that it was a possibility I was there. And I didn't want to get into detail as far as what I knew before the podcast. But if you would like, I would explain to you why I thought these things.
You got
It's up to you.
Can we approach?
Yes. And we can get right back, go in the hallway. Okay, we are back on the record. Ms. Butts, you are still under oath. Ms. Brooklyn, go right ahead.
Thank you. So, Ms. Butts, what's the sources of these reasons that you have? Are these things that you know from your personal knowledge? Are these things that you observe yourself?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
So these reasons that you were thinking of, what are the sources of them? Is it somebody told you something? Is it something that you saw yourself, you observed, or a coupling of that?
I would say a bit of both. Things that I was told and things that I heard.
Okay. Were there heard from Jarvis?
No,
Okay. Were these things that you had already known prior
prior to,
to thinking that it was Messiah that you saw?
I'm sorry, I'm confused on the question.
So are these things the sources that you have for these reasons? Are they like things that you have personal knowledge of, or are they things that somebody told you about?
These were things that I was told. I'm trying to understand the question that you're asking.
Ms. Ripley, you're referring to the question before we went into a sidebar about her leading up to believing that it was possibly Naziah Harris at the shop, correct?
Yes.
Does that help clarify
Okay,
the line of questioning?
yes.
Okay.
Okay, so those reasons, those things, are those things that you had known before? Are they based on your observations, or?
Well, these were things that I was told. And after asking the questions that I needed to ask, I came up with the conclusion that it was a possibility that Naziah was the little girl that I saw that day.
Okay, thank you. You said that when you were parked at Jarvis's shop, it was getting dark out.
Yeah,
Okay. That darkness, is that maybe the reason why the color on the jacket stood out?
well, the jacket didn't stand out until I was walking into the gas station behind her because I wasn't really like paying attention to what she had on. I just kept seeing her get in and out of the truck, going in the gas station and coming back to the truck. And that's what caught my attention.
Okay, so the movement is what attracted you to it at first?
Yes.
Okay. Kevin, for the judge.
Okay, Ms. Buffy, you're done testifying. Watch your step coming out of the witness box, okay? Okay, one last witness for today, correct?
Yes. At this time, people would call Latricia Johnson.
Raise your right hand, please.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. Okay. Watch your step. Whenever you're ready, Ms. Ripley.
Thank you, good. Good afternoon, could you please state your name for the record?
Latricia Johnson,
And how old are you?
31.
And I don't want to know your exact address, but what street do you live on?
I'm a driver in Belfort.
And what kind of vehicle did you drive back in January of 2024?
A blue Nissan Sentra.
Okay. And do you recall being interviewed by Detroit police back on August 30th, 2024?
Yes.
And fair to say that was in relation to a Jarvis bus?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know a Jarvis bus?
Yes.
Okay. And how is it that you know Jarvis bus?
He's my daughter's father.
Okay. And do you see Mr. Butts in the courtroom today?
Yes.
And can you point to him and tell me the color of the clothing that he's wearing?
He's right there and he's wearing green.
And you're the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant?
So reflective.
Thank you. And you said that he's your daughter's father?
Yes.
How old is your daughter?
She just turned 2.
And when did you meet Jarvis Butts?
2019.
And how was it that you met him?
I had a flat tire and I went to his auto shop on Warren and Casual, Anef.
Now, you said you have one daughter with Mr. Butts. Do you have any other children?
Yes.
Okay. What other children do you have?
I have a son.
Okay. And how old is he?
He's 7.
And that is not a child by Mr.
No.
Butts? Okay. Now, do you recall, I'm thinking back to February 15th, 2024. Do you remember that day?
Yes.
Okay. And what happened that day?
Police came to my home, asked me if I know Jarvis and have I seen Naziah before.
And did you, I guess, did they do anything at your house when you were there?
They searched my house.
Did they ever search, on that day, did they search your vehicle?
No,
Okay.
they just looked in there. They didn't do a full, I don't know if that was what you call a search of them looking inside.
Was there ever a time that you allowed Jarvis to use your vehicle?
Yes, one time.
Okay. And
2 times, I should say.
2 times? Okay.
Ms. Jonathan, can you speak up just a little bit louder?
2 times.
Thank you.
And which vehicle was that?
The blue Nissan Sentra.
Okay. And I showed you a PowerPoint before of 197 photos of a Nissan Sentra. Do you recall seeing those photos?
Yes.
Ms.
And
Ripley, can you hold off one moment for the court reporter?
oh, sorry.
You're fine.
You repeat it, please. Yes. Do you recall me showing you the photos of a Nissan Sentra before?
Yes.
Okay. And in showing you those photos, did those fairly and accurately depict how your Nissan Sentra looked back on August 30th, 2024?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, well, first I'll move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 11, the PowerPoint of the Nissan Sentra.
Any objection?
No objection.
It'll be admitted as People's Exhibit 11?
Thank you, Judge. May I public?
Yes.
Now, when you let Travis Butts borrow your vehicle, did it look, how it was photoed?
The back was messed up, but the front was good. It was
Okay,
fixed.
so back in January of 2024, your car still had the front end?
Yes.
Okay, is that the only difference in how it looked?
On the photo, yes.
Okay, so that's the only difference in how it looked from January of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. When is it that Mr. Butts, borrowed your vehicle?
January 9th.
Is it the first time?
Yes.
Okay, and you said there was a second time?
Yes.
When was that?
I think it was either the next day or the day after that day. I don't remember.
Okay. The first time, let's talk about the first time. How did it come about that he, borrowed your car?
He called and asked if he can use my car to do something with his son.
And when is it that or how did he get your car?
I didn't get home till about 9 o'clock, and he came to my house to pick my car up.
Is that 9 a.m. or 9 p.m.?
9 p.m.
9 p.m.? Okay. And you said he came to your house and picked it up?
Yes.
Okay. To your knowledge, did Mr. Butts say how long he was gonna borrow your car for?
No,
Okay. Did you have a reason, a time where you expected it back?
at least 2 hours.
Okay. When did Mr. Butts return with your car?
The next morning.
Was this normal, abnormal?
No, not normal.
Not normal? Okay. And did Mr. Butts say what he was doing with your car?
No.
Did you notice anything different about or in your car after his use that first time?
No.
Okay. Did you notice anything in the back seat that was different?
There was a pair of glasses that was left that my son was playing with at the time.
Okay. And I'm going to show you where at would your son be sitting?
On the passenger side,
Okay, in the passenger.
on the back seat.
So, where is it? You can kind of see it better in photo 41. He was behind the passenger seat?
Yes.
Okay. Describe the glasses that he was playing with.
I believe they were clear around the frame part. I don't know what the ends look like, but I do remember they were clear around the frame.
Okay. And I want to show you what's already been introduced as People's Exhibit 12.
Yes.
Is there anything in People's Exhibit 12 that you recognize?
The glasses.
Okay, how is it that you recognize those glasses?
They were clear just like that. The one my son was playing with.
Okay. Now, you said your son was playing with them in the back seat. How did you get them from your son?
I told him to give them to me because I didn't know who glasses they were.
Okay. How is it that you come to ask Jarvis about these glasses?
Well, my son was playing with them when I was with Jarvis at his shop.
And I guess.
The next day, I went up to the shop and my son, like picking my son up from school. Jarvis was see his daughter and my son was playing in the back with the glasses.
Okay. From when Jarvis had borrowed your car and returned it to you picking up your son from school, had anybody else borrowed your car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you're at the shop, you see your son playing with the glasses, you take them from him.
Mm-hmm.
Is that yes?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. Now, tell me, what does Jarvis do?
He snatched them from me and said those were his son's glasses.
Okay. And do you think anything of this at the time?
No, I just thought that was his sunglasses because he said he was taking his son somewhere in that car.
Now, the second time that Jarvis asked to use your car, you said it was either the day after or the next day?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about how that comes to happen.
Well, he comes to my house when he get off work. He comes by, get my car, so he needs to use it again for his son. I said, okay. And he said he wasn't gonna be gone for that long like he was the time before. I said, okay. And he was only gone for like 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours.
Okay. And are those the only 2 times that he ever used your car?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. Were there times that he would be in your car with you?
Yeah.
You would take him places?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you had any contact with Jarvis since he turned himself in on February 7th of 2024?
Yes.
Okay, and what was that through?
Phone calls, get out, text, app.
Okay.
Miss
And-
Johnson, I need you to pull that microphone off the ledge. Yeah, that way I can hear you. Okay. Thank you.
Do you recall a phone call in which Jarvis asked you some things about your vehicle?
Yes.
Okay. And you've heard that call before?
Yes.
Okay, and was that call that I played for you, is that a fair and accurate depiction of the call that you had with
Yes.
Jarvis and him asking you about the car?
Yes.
And I move the admission of people's proposed exhibit 13.
Any objection?
No objection.
Okay.
And Your Honor, may I publish?
Yeah, it'll be admitted as People's Exhibit 13 and you can publish. Can I also see Exhibit 12 when you get a moment?
Yes, sir.
Mayor.
Yes.
And for the record, this phone call is 6 minutes and 43 seconds long.
You didn't get what she said?
Wayne County Jail. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. The inmate has requested that you pay for this call. If you don't wish to talk, hang up now. Thank you for using Telme.
Hello?
Yeah.
27. 219.
You want that?
Huh?
You want that?
0.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah. You said what?
I said, I don't know what the fuck going on, but that's been everybody's shit.
Everybody shit. You don't everybody know? They come to my shit?
I don't know.
I mean, they know of me.
Anything that I had, anything that I touched. That's for yourself, man. I mean, anything about me, man. That's for your goddamn self. You feel me?
Yeah.
Huh? Yeah, so just say go to my house. Yeah. Go to my house, man. Hey.
How?
Yeah, okay. You gotta go home, use her car. Use her car. So don't use my car, don't. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Bro, they're taking everything out. Go use your mama car. Man, and drive around. Man, fix yourself with your mama car, man. Your brother car, my brother car. You should have drive. Yeah, I don't know what the fuck, man. Clean the motherfuckers up stuff. I don't know. My phone? Yeah, they got my phone, they got my car, they got their cars, they got their guns, I don't know what the fuck they do, bro. They gonna do something. Yeah, but what the fuck did that got shit to do with me is what I'm saying. Yeah.
You got shit to with me, man. I'm not understanding what the fuck is going on. You feel me? I'll call you later, man. I don't know what you're going to real about this shit, though. This shit's starting to piss me off. Okay. So I get in touch with you later, man. Okay. You might check you out your regular job. My regular job. They just want to go back on. Probably about something. Right.
What did you think when Jarvis told you those things?
I didn't know what to think when he told me those things.
What did you do in response to receiving this call, if anything?
Nothing.
Okay. Did you clean anything up?
No.
Did you wipe anything down?
No.
And that would be in your house?
Yes. House, car, everything. Didn't touch it up. Nothing.
Just to clarify a little bit. Jarvis borrowed your car on the 9th,
Yes.
brought it back the 10th in the morning,
Yes. Yeah.
about 6 a.m. or so, or in the
Yeah.
morning?
In the morning, about 8:30, 8 o'clock.
8:30.
I was taking my son to school.
Okay. And did he borrow it later that day again or the next day?
I can't remember if it was later that day or the next day. I just know he did it again. He probably can.
Okay. I think they're good.
Good afternoon. Now, you indicated that you knew Mr. Butch since 2019.
Yes.
Correct. You met him at the shop, correct?
Yes.
At his shop.
Yes.
Would you describe your relationship with him as a
Whole.
I'm sorry?
He said as a whole, we do.
Would you describe it as a physical relationship or was it a real relationship?
Oh, it was a physical relationship.
Okay, so you knew Mr. Butch was seeing other people, correct?
Yes.
All right, so that's not a surprise to you,
No.
correct?
The fact that he lied to me, that's a surprise.
Okay. So he would tell you he was coming over and you would know where he was coming from, correct?
Yes.
That's nothing new.
That's nothing.
Okay. Do you know, besides your daughter with Mr. Butts, do you know Mr. Butts' other children?
I met quite a few of them.
Okay. Have you met any of the other mothers?
About two in the beginning of the relationship we had. He introduced me to about 2 or 3 of the mothers.
Okay. And have you had any issues with the mothers?
No.
Okay. So you know Mr. Butts works as a mechanic, correct?
Yes.
And have you ever seen him wearing safety glasses in the shop?
Yes.
Okay. Safety glasses are clear, aren't they?
They're not those.
They're not.
They're not the kinds that I've seen. No.
Okay. So he borrowed your car on the 9th, correct?
Yes.
And you said he came over around 9 p.m.
Yes.
All right. When he came over 9 p.m., was there anything out of the ordinary that you noticed?
No.
Okay. Did you have a conversation with him that day?
We swapped out cars. We had a quick swap out cars and he was gone.
And there was no other conversation that day?
No.
You didn't notice anything about his appearance? You didn't notice anything about his demeanor?
No.
Okay. And you say he came back the next day?
Yes.
All right.
The next morning.
Could he have dropped your car off later that night? I mean, earlier that night?
No, he did not.
He didn't drop it off at, say, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning?
No, he did not.
Okay. And you said that your son, and forgive me, I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but there was a lot of things in this car. Is that the condition the car always was in?
I mean, my son have his toys. There's always stuff in there, yes.
Okay.
But it's only my kids' stuff that be in my car because me and my kids are the only people that really be in my car, or my mother.
Okay. And your testimony is that Jarvis Butts, prior to the night, they'd never been in this car before?
Oh, no, he's been in my car.
Okay.
He's been in my car. I take him places.
Okay. So your son finds the glasses,
Yes.
correct? And you say he finds the glasses, this would be on the 10th? He finds the glasses?
Yes, either the next day or whenever. I don't remember what day, but I know the next day. It was the next day we went over. Yes, it was.
So you're not sure what day the glasses were
I'm
found?
not sure what day the glasses was found because I went to his job twice
Okay.
after that. So I don't know which day. I don't know if it was the 10th or the 11th.
So it could have been either day.
Yes,
All right.
but
And
they was in my car.
so your son was playing with these glasses.
Yes,
There was nothing remarkable about these glasses, correct?
they were just clear glasses.
And so you couldn't identify the glasses and say, hey, these glasses were smaller than a normal pair of glasses. These must be a pair of kids' glasses, right? You couldn't say that,
He
correct?
said they were his son's glasses. So, is he saying as his son, that would mean it was for kid glasses, right?
Okay. That's right. So he said they were his son's glasses?
Yes.
And
Mr. Hawthorne. Okay. You sure? I got a haul. You want one right now? It's what? Oh, okay. I got you. Okay, Mr. Ricketts, go right ahead.
All right. So you said your son was playing with the glasses, correct? And you took the glasses from your son, correct?
Yes.
And what did you do with them once you took them?
He was playing with them when I was up there with Jarvis. When I took them from him, I said, "Those are not your glasses." Jarvis took them from my hand.
Okay. So you didn't examine these glasses, correct?
I just got them on his face. And he was playing with them on his face.
Okay.
So how can I not examine these glasses when I'm looking at my son with these glasses on his face?
You didn't study these glasses, correct?
No, I didn't study these glasses, but they were clear and they were on my son's face.
So later on, you showed a picture of Naziah Harris, correct?
Yes,
And you saw her wearing clear glasses as well, correct?
yes.
At the time you saw her with the glasses, did anyone tell you that she was missing?
Yes, they did.
Were
And they
you,
showed me the picture.
were you aware that she was missing?
From the news.
Okay. And were you aware that Mr. Butts was a suspect?
No, not at the time, until they came to my door.
Okay. So when you told them that these glasses, you saw glasses similar to this?
I didn't tell them then.
Okay.
I didn't know about that until after.
All right.
It took me a minute to think about the glasses
So you came back and told them later?
when they came to my house.
Okay. That you saw a pair of glasses in your car?
Yes,
And the best you can say is that these glasses may be similar, correct?
they maybe was similar.
Right.
Yes.
You cannot testify that these are the exact same glasses, correct?
No, I cannot testify those are the exact same glasses.
Can you tell whether the glasses had prescription lenses in them?
I didn't put them on my face, sir, so how do I know?
Did your son say anything about that?
No, how would he know? He said he was, what, 6, 7, 5 at the time. So how would he even know what prescription glasses are?
You wear prescription glasses, right?
Yes.
If you take them off, you see differently, correct?
Yes, but I did not put the glasses on.
Yeah.
So how do I know they were prescription glasses if I didn't wear them? My son wore the glasses, so how am I supposed to know? I don't have his eyes.
My question was, did your son say anything about the
No,
glasses?
he
didn't
was
say that?
playing with the glasses, and I told him to take the glasses off because we didn't know what glasses they were.
Okay.
I didn't know if they were prescription, so I told him to take them off. When he take them off, he handed to me. Oh, Jarvis said, "Oh, those are my sunglasses," and he snatches it from my hand.
Okay, and what did Jarvis do with the glasses?
I don't know. He went towards his car.
Okay. You didn't think anything else of the glasses, did you?
No.
Okay.
All he said was those were his sunglasses at the time.
You're employed?
Yes.
All right. And your Nissan, was that your primary mode of transportation?
No.
That was a secondary car?
Yes.
Okay.
I don't drive my car. I use my mom's car when I'm working.
So is the Nissan your car?
Yes, it's my car.
Okay. And Mr. Butts called you and told you to drive someone else's car?
Yep.
All right. So when he told you that, you didn't do anything, right?
No.
You didn't think anything of
No.
it, correct? You didn't clean out this car, correct?
No.
So anything of Mr. Butts would still be in his car, correct?
Yes.
Thank you. I have no further questions.
Any redirect?
Yes, sir. Ms. Johnson, you were asked about knowing that Mr. Butts was seeing other women.
Yes.
But did he lie about things?
Yes.
What did he lie about?
About how many women, if he was still dealing with the women, everything, pretty much.
Okay. So you didn't, fair to say you wouldn't know how many women were out there?
Yes.
Okay. And did you know that he would be dealing with women at the same time as he was dealing with you?
And
Yes.
I'm going to object at this point. I'm not sure what the relevance of that is as to this. How many women he's dealing with.
Do you have a response?
Yeah, it goes to whether or not he would be whether he's secretive about things, whether he would know about.
He's very secretive.
1 second, Ms. Johnson. I'm sorry. It's okay, 1 second. The door was open. It was asking Ross how many women he slept with.
Yeah.
And whether she knew.
Wanted to get, but really extended the question.
Okay, well, let's ask the question again.
Yeah, was he a secretive person to you?
Yes, he's very secretive.
And when he told you a reason why he wanted to use your car, did you have any reasons to think that that might not be true?
I honestly thought it was for his son. Whenever he says anything about his kids, I believe him when it comes to his kids. I thought he was a great father to his kids. That's what he put on to me, but.
So that's what he led you to believe?
Yeah.
Nothing further.
Yeah, I gotta ask you a couple of follow-up questions.
Go ahead.
Now, you said that he was secretive, correct?
Yes.
And that's when it came to women, correct?
Yes.
That bothered you, correct?
I mean, it would bother anyone when a man is supposed to be telling you the truth and they being really secretive about everything. When you being honest with them.
So you were upset about
respect
that?
honesty.
So you were upset about that, correct?
About him being with other women, cheating, but not really, because I was doing it too. How about that?
You all gotta be quiet, Ms. McGowan.
No further questions.
Any last questions, Ms. McGowan? Okay, you're done, Ms. Johnson. Motion's clear. Okay, was that the last witness for today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, anything else that needs to go on the record before we in today?
Not the people, no, thank you.
Not from the fence.
Okay, we're off the record. Back here at 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Okay, we are on the record. This is case 2459617. The people of State of Michigan versus Jarvis Butts, charged with count 1 homicide, murder, first degree premeditated. Count 2 child sexually abusive activity. Count 3 criminal sexual conduct, second degree, person under 13, defendant 17 years of age or older. With the habitual offender fourth defense notice set for an exam today. Appearances.
Good morning, Your Honor. Tina Ripley on behalf of the people, P83688.
And good morning, Your Honor, Matthew Makepeace on behalf of the people as well, P82796.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning to your staff, Neighborhood Defender Services by Ken Reagan, P82125 on behalf of Mr. Jarvis Butts.
And good morning, Your Honor. Neighborhood Defender Service by Cheryl Quick, P83973, also on behalf of Jarvis Butts. Mr. Butts, state your name.
Mr. Butts, you can have a seat.
Good morning, Your Honor. Lauren Butler, Neighborhood Defender Service as well.
Thank you. Okay, any preliminary matters before we begin the exam?
Defense just would request her to invoke the rule of sequestration.
And the people would ask for an exception for the officer in charge who is sitting in the back, Sergeant Shannon Jones.
Any objection?
Just question whether or not Sergeant Jones has to testify today.
Not today, but she will be testifying.
No objection for exam purposes.
Okay, if there is anyone in the courtroom who may testify or is a witness on this case, that means today or at trial, if it goes to trial, you must exit the courtroom now. Also, just to put everyone on notice, this case is being streamed live on YouTube. So if there's anyone on YouTube who may testify or is a witness on this case, you must also log off and not view the proceedings today. Anything else?
No objection,
Madam Defense, thank you.
Okay, this is call your first witness, Ms. Ripley.
Thank you, Judge. At this time, we'll call Cordell Wright.
Stand right here, Mr. Wright, face the judge, raise your right hand.
You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Watch your step.
Do you have his name on? Could you spell his first name for me?
Cordell.
You may begin, Ms. Ripley.
Thank you, Judge. Good morning, Mr. Wright.
Good morning.
And Mr. Wright, do you have a nickname?
Yes.
And what's your nickname?
King.
Is that K-I-N-G?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. How old are you?
37.
When's your birthday?
11/17.
What year?
86.
And Mr. Wright, back in January 2024, were you on a MDOC tether?
Yes, I was.
And what dates were you on tether from?
From March 14th, 23 to March 28th of 24.
And what were your tether restrictions back then?
I could leave the house from 6 in the morning. I had to be back in by 9 p.m.
Mr. Wright, do you know someone named Jarvis Butts?
Yes, I do.
And how do you know Jarvis Butts?
I first met him, we worked together at a shop called Frank's. And then we owned the shop together.
And do you see Jarvis Butts in the courtroom today?
No?
You, would you be able to stand up so you can look around?
Yes. No.
When did you meet Mr. Butts?
2018.
And you said you two worked together initially at a place called Frank's?
Frank's.
All right. Where was Frank's at?
He has a couple locations. He has 7, but the one I met him at was on Warren and Neff.
Warren and Neff. Okay. And what locations of Frank's did you work at with Mr. Butts?
Warren and Neff.
Yes.
And Mr. Wright, I'm approaching people's proposed exhibits 4, 5, and 6. Can you look at these and tell me if you recognize those?
I recognize this one, and this one.
And those are those a fair and accurate depiction of the Frank's Auto Shops? At least 2 of them on Warren and the other one maybe on Harper?
Yes.
Okay. Which is the one that's on Harper?
The last one of the inside.
Okay. And that's People's Exhibit, proposed exhibit 6?
Yes.
Okay. You're not moving for the admission of People's 4, 5, and 6?
Any objection? No objection, Your Honor. They'll be admitted as People's Exhibits 4, 5, and 6.
Thank you, Judge. How long did you work at Frank's with Mr. Butts?
A few years.
About how many years would you estimate?
2.
And when did that change from Frank's to another shop?
Maybe in 23 sometime.
Okay. Would it be earlier in the year or later in the year?
Maybe maybe in May. Well, maybe April, May.
And then where did you guys work then?
We got a shop together on 9,000 Connors.
And what is at 9,000 Connor?
A sicko, a car wash, and our shop was in the middle of both.
Your Honor, may I approach?
Yes.
Mr. Gray, I'm handing you what's marked as people's proposed exhibits 7 and 8. Can you look at those and tell me if you recognize them?
Yes, I recognize.
Okay. And are those a fair and accurate depiction of your shop at 9,000 Connor?
Yes, it is.
And you're not with the admission of people's proposed exhibits 7 and 8?
Any objection? No objection. They'll be admitted as People's Exhibits 7 and 8.
Thank you. Who did you, and who was it that you mainly worked with at 9,000 Connor?
I'm sorry,
Who was it that you worked with at 9,000 Connor?
Jarvis.
I want to take you back to when you were working at Frank's with Mr. Butts. Did you ever see Mr. Butts with any children there?
Yes.
And specifically, did you see him with any young girl children?
Yes.
And did you know who those were?
Yes.
Who were they? Who were they?
His daughter, his niece.
Daughters and niece? What about any boys?
Yes.
Okay. And who were they?
His sons.
How often would you see him with children there at Frank's?
Sporadically.
And at 9,000 Connor, did you see Mr. Butts with any children then?
Yes.
Any girls?
Yes.
And who would they be?
His daughter.
And what about any boys?
Yes.
And who would they be?
His sons.
And how often would you see him with children at 9,000 Connor?
Sporadic.
And as it relates to this case, it's fair to say that you spoke with Detroit police a few times?
Yes, about 4.
About 4 times? Okay. That first time that you talked to Detroit police, do you recall about when that was?
The first time was the day before Valentine's Day, so like February 13th.
February 13th, and is that of 2024?
Yes.
Okay. All right, and at that time, were you presented with a jail call?
Yes.
Okay. And who was that jail call with?
Jarvis.
Okay. And who was he talking to?
Me.
All right. And what was the topic of that jail call?
He called to ask would I receive a cell phone out of a truck for him.
And were you familiar with what truck he was asking you to get it from?
Yes.
What truck was that?
It was a Z71 Chevy Suburban.
And did you know who that truck belonged to?
Yeah, his baby mom or somebody he was dealing with.
And do you recall listening to that jail call?
Yeah, I recall.
Okay. If I would move to admit the jail call from, I believe it's February 8th, 2024, between Mr. Wright and Mr. Jarvis Butts.
Any objection?
No objection.
What's the exhibit number on that?
Sorry, that's exhibit number 1.
It'll be admitted as exhibit 1.
Thank you, Judge. And may I publish?
Yes, I mean, co-host.
Thank you, Judge. And for the record, I am playing people's exhibit 1.
That's it.
This is a one-time free 3-minute call from an inmate at Woody County Jail. Your phone does not accept collect calls. This call has been provided by Helmet as a courtesy for friends and family. You cannot receive additional calls from this inmate until you call prepaid. We can take your credit or debit card information over the phone and connect you immediately back to your call. This call is subject to recording and monitoring. Press 1 to accept all communications from this. Thank you for using Helmet.
My guy, what's up, man?
Not shit, man. What's happening?
Nah, shit, man. How you feeling? My bad, I missed your call. I was working like a motherfucker.
I figured they said you was up there banging, said something banging.
Yeah, you know it.
What's up, my nigga? Who is that, Tim? What's up, boy?
You know it.
And shit. Man, I'm calling, man. You bitch, they put my money up on my fucking books, bro.
Oh, yeah, take a minute for them to put that shit on there. Even if you walk in with it, man, they be playing it crazy.
Yeah, man.
I swear to God. They do that with machine and shit. You show you straight, you need something. I mean, I'm not getting a couple hours to that thing.
Yeah, I'm supposed to, I had some money on my books, nigga. I came in with money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so they put this shit on my hookup. I was looking under the cabinet, I get come up $0. That's some bullshit.
That shit crazy.
Yeah.
How is it, though?
Man, that's some bullshit. I'm really gonna be quarantined on this whole shit, bro.
Oh, yeah, they got you on that quarantine club for how long? 3 days?
I don't know how long, nigga. Shit, I'm about to be the only one in this bitch on my part.
You say what happened? I said, shit, I'm about to be there. Remember me and being young enough and this motherfucker, you know, these boys on this bitch.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
What you need?
Huh?
No, I was asking something what that customer needs.
Man, listen.
You straight?
Yeah, man.
Huh?
So yeah, I'm good, oh shit, yeah. You got Tasha number, right?
Yeah.
So Dig, I need you to call her one thing, nigga, and get that truck up there, nigga. Get my phone out that back seat, bro.
Oh, man. All right. Well, I'm supposed to get the truck up there. What am I tell her?
Tell her you gonna, you fuck around and lost your car up there too when we was moving the, radio.
Okay.
Just gonna see.
All right.
I said this.
You have 1 minute remaining for this call.
Reach behind that back seat.
Where? Yeah.
So you reach behind that back seat, bro. The box right there. Straight behind the middle of that back seat, bro.
Okay, under it or in the back or in the back
In
thing?
the back, like right in the back of the seat, bro.
Okay.
I'm on the second row.
I got you. You know you took the key. You took the key to the gate.
It's the same key.
I don't got that key to it.
Yeah, you do. It's the same key to the lock and the door.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. All right.
Yeah, it's the same key, bro.
Now, you know I got to. I'll put the money on the phone later, man. When I get around, baby, I haven't put the credit card. You?
About that, you get him on that. I call my wife and have her bring it up to you.
No, I don't need it though. If you said the same one, I got it. So I don't need it right now anyway. Just when I get the scrap out of there.
Okay.
And Mr. Wright, were you successful in getting that cell phone from the vehicle like Mr. Butt asked you to?
She came up there, but no, I wasn't successful. It wasn't there.
Wasn't there? Okay.
When we say she, who you refer to?
Tasha,
And who's Tashi that you know of?
his baby mom.
Okay. Did you look for it in the vehicle?
Yeah, I looked for it.
Okay. And you were unsuccessful in finding it?
Yes.
And Mr. Wright, I want to talk to you now about the second time that you were speaking with Detroit police. Would that be fair to say that was just a couple days after your first time?
It was not long, a few weeks maybe. I was off tether at that point, I believe.
Okay. And do you recall talking about fixing a red Jaguar and going to Ypsilanti?
Yes, I do.
Tell me about how many times did you and Mr. Butts go to Ypsilanti?
I believe it was either 2 or 3.
And tell me about how did that come about? Whose red Jaguar is this?
My son's grandma.
Your son's grandma.
So she called, said she was having some problems with it and asked if we would come look at it, which is not unusual. We do house calls depending on the person and where it's located, but this is my son's grandma, so of course we're gonna make the exception. She called and said she was having problems with the car, asked if we would come look at it. We went, assessed the car at her house the first time. I think we made a minor repair there, not to the extent that it was the problem that she was having after the fact.
Okay. So, where is this red Jaguar located when you guys go out to see it?
Mr. My son's grandma driveway in Ypsilanti, off Michigan Avenue, I believe.
Alright. And who goes with you out there that first time?
Jarvis?
Okay. Is it just you and Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. So you guys go out there and you assess, make a minor repair.
Yeah.
Does it completely fix the car?
For that problem, yes.
Okay. And then is there another time that you end up having to do work on this red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay. Tell me about that.
She drove the Jaguar for a while. It was doing fine. And then she said it was leaking something. I asked her what it was leaking. She said she didn't know. I asked her if she could get it towed to the shop. She said, yeah.
Okay. So at some point, this red Jaguar gets towed to your shop at 9000 Connor?
Yes.
Okay. And who works on it at 9000 Connor?
Me and Jarvis.
Okay. And what do you do when you finish fixing, do you ever finish fixing the red Jaguar?
Yes.
Okay, and what do you do when you finish fixing it?
We take it back to her. I called her first and asked her how she was planning on retrieving the vehicle. She said she was gonna tow it, and I didn't want to cost her no more money, so I told her that we could bring it.
Okay, and, do you recall if that was on or about January 9th of 2024?
It was on.
It was on that day?
Yes.
Okay, so on that day, before you take the red Jaguar back, who was, tell me about how that day started for you.
I woke up. I typically leave the house at 6 because that's what time I could leave. So I went to the gym. I got to the shop probably around 8:30. I don't know who opened the shop. I can't really recall which one of us opened it, but Jarvis may have been there already. A few cars came in, then the Jaguar probably got there maybe around 9 o'clock. I assessed the Jaguar. Jarvis left for a moment. I had another mechanic, being it's a foreign car, so I had a foreign car mechanic on call to help with the work, but he was busy, so he came. Said he wouldn't have time to do it, so I think I Googled it, seen how it was done, and I proceeded taking the water pump off.
Okay. So you're working on the Jaguar, and is Mr. Buck at work that day?
Yes, he was there.
Okay. What do you guys being you and Mr. Butts, do as it relates to work on the night?
I think we had a few cars that came in that needed some minor repairs. Between that and the Jaguar, we was jumping in and out of the Jaguar job, and the cars that pulled up, maybe oil change, tune up, whatever, et cetera, so forth was. But we was mainly working on the Jaguar, trying to get the water pump off, as it is a hard job to do.
And do you always have all of your parts on stock or on your person in stock with you?
No, we call either AutoZone, Mansfield, one of the auto stores that has them.
Okay. And did you have to go get any auto parts on January 9th?
Yes, we had to go get the water pump for the Jaguar, as well as some other parts, I believe, for other cars.
Okay. And when you go and get parts, is it usually just one of you, both of you, or something else?
That depending. If it's a car there, then one of us will stay. If it's not a car there, we go together sometimes.
Okay. And on January 9th of 2024, did one of you guys go to the auto parts store, or did you both go?
We both went.
Both went? Okay. Tell me what happens when you go to the auto parts store.
Before that, I called them. They ordered the water pump, so we went and picked it up when they called and said it was in. We got in the truck, went to AutoZone, got the water pump. On our way back from AutoZone, I believe we forgot something, so we ended up turning back around, going back to AutoZone, grabbed whatever we forgot, came back, and on our way back, we was coming down Harbor. Jarvis said, "I see my niece right there. She walking." We pulled into Angel's liquor store. I still didn't see her. He pointed across my face, said she right there. She was coming across the street at that time. She got in the truck with us. She spoke, "Hi King, hi Jay," and we proceeded back to the shop.
Okay. So when you guys are driving to these auto parts stores, who's driving?
Jarvis,
Okay. And where are you at?
passenger seat.
Okay. And you said when you guys are heading back to the shop the second time,
Mm-hmm.
that's when you said Jarvis spots someone.
Yes,
Who does he say that he spots?
his niece.
His niece. Okay. And do you recognize his niece?
Yes, when I see her, when he pointed her out to me, yes, I recognize her walking across the street.
Okay. And so you guys pull over. Where does she get into the car at?
I believe she getting behind me, so the back seat behind me.
Okay. Does Jarvis say anything to her?
Yeah, she speaks to both of us, and we speak back.
Okay. What does he say to her?
Hi.
Hi. Okay. And where do you guys go after you pick up his niece?
Back to the shop.
Okay, and that's at 9,000 Connor?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you guys do when you get back to 9,000 Connor?
He back in. We get out. We proceed to working on the Jaguar. I may have got out the car first with the parts, and he was in the car with her for a second. I got out, started working on the Jaguar.
And does what happens next? What do you guys do?
I believe she get out, get into the front seat, reposition herself to the front seat of his truck. It was colder that day. I believe she started the truck. We started working on the Jaguar, putting the parts back on. It took a little minute. Like I said, it was a difficult job, so it took a while. At some point, I believe his truck ran out of gas, so we had to stop what we were doing to push his truck to the gas pump so he could get some gas.
So you said that she gets out of the car that you guys were in?
Yes.
Okay, and then she gets into Jarvis's truck.
No. We was always in Jarvis' truck.
Okay.
So she gets out the back seat and repositions herself to the front seat,
Okay.
so she can start the cover.
And tell me, what kind of car, what kind of truck does Jarvis drive?
Escalade.
Okay. And what color?
It's pearl white.
Okay. What, if you can see, what is his niece doing while you guys are working on the shop, at the shop?
I believe she's on her cell phone, I believe.
Does Jarvis ever take his niece anywhere that, like, while you guys are working at the shop?
No.
No, okay. Did you ask him if he was gonna take her home at all?
I believe I asked him was he gonna drop her off when the truck ran out of gas. We had to push it to the pump. It was just a distraction from work, so I asked was he gonna drop her off. He said no.
And did you finish working on the Jaguar that day? And what happens after you finish up on the Jaguar?
I called my son grandma and asked her how she was gonna retrieve the vehicle. She said she was gonna tow it back. I told her she didn't have to do that. That was just spending extra money. So I asked Jarvis, was it all right if we dropped it off? He said yes. And we started making preparations to do so.
Do you recall about what time you guys finished the Jaguar and prepared to leave?
Right around 7:30ish, somewhere around there.
When do you guys eventually leave the shop?
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about who all leaves the shop?
Me, Jarvis, and his niece.
Okay. And tell me about the driving arrangements.
So I drove my 300 and Jarvis drove the Jaguar.
And where was his niece at?
She was with him in the front seat of the Jaguar.
Now, are you able to recall what his niece looked like that day?
Yes. Faintly, but yes.
Do you remember what kind of clothing she was wearing?
I remember she had her jacket on. Like I said, a coat. It was cold, so I think it was colorful.
Colorful?
Yeah.
And may I approach? Yes. And Mr. Wright, I'm approaching you with People's Proposed Exhibit 2. And I'm going to direct you to the top left corner. Can you tell me, is there anything that you recognize in that?
The jacket in Channel 1.
Okay. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of the jacket that you've seen his niece, Jarvis's niece, wearing that day?
Yes.
And I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 2.
Any objection? Okay. We'll give it as People's Exhibit 2.
Thank you. People's Post Exhibit 3. Do you recognize what I just handed you?
Yes.
Thanks. And is that a fair and accurate depiction of Jarvis's niece as you remember seeing her back on January 9th, 2024?
Yes.
Okay, and is that the same niece that went with you to Ypsilanti?
Yes, it is.
Okay. And you're moved for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 3?
No objection. Okay, it'll be a minute as people in exhibit 3.
Thank you. So, you guys are driving to Ypsilanti. You said you're driving in your 300, and Jarvis is driving the Jaguar with his niece.
Yes.
Okay. About how long does it take you guys to get to Ypsilanti?
It was raining that day, so about 35 minutes.
And when you get to Ypsilanti, what do you do?
We get out, we park the car, get out, we go in. My son's grandma and I believe his auntie was there as well, so they greeted us. They spoken to him before, so they greet him. And then my son, grandma asked who the little girl was.
And did you introduce the little girl?
No,
Okay. Who introduced the little girl?
Jarvis did.
And what did Jarvis introduce her as?
His niece.
And about how long do you guys stay in Ypsilanti?
Not long, maybe 15 minutes or so. My son, auntie had to go get the rest of our money that my son, grandma didn't have, so she went to the ATM.
What do you guys do once you went to the ATM?
Talking. Talking. She was just telling us about other work she needed to do around her house, etc., so on and so forth.
And was Mr. Butts with you the whole time?
Yes.
So, you guys eventually leave Ypsilanti.
Yes.
And tell me about the driving arrangements coming or leaving Ypsilanti.
At this point, we only have one vehicle, which is mine. We get in, Jarvis in the front. I believe Naziah sat behind me.
Step behind you?
Yes.
Okay. And is there any kind of talking or conversation when you guys are driving?
No, I got sounds in my car, so no.
And do you recall about what time you guys, where do you guys go when you leave Ypsilanti?
Back to 9,000 Connors.
Okay. And do you recall about what time you guys get back to 9,000 Connors?
Probably around 8:45. I was cutting it close on the tether.
What do you do when you get back to 9,000 Connors?
Opened up the shop door where he left. He left his truck in one of the bays, so we opened up that bay door, went through the gas station, because that's the way we entered the shop. Went through the gas station, opened the shop, opened one of the bay doors. I went to the back and started splitting the money that we had made for the day, and separating the receipts, etc.
Where do you see his niece go?
Getting this truck,
Do you recall where at his truck she got into?
passenger seat,
Is that front passenger, back passenger, or something else?
front passenger.
And where's Mr. Butts at?
Back in the back with me, separating the cash.
And when you leave, do you lock up the shop?
No, I left first.
You left first. Okay. So when you leave, who's still at the shop?
Jarvis and his niece.
Do you see them leave the shop at all?
No.
And have you seen, Jarvis's niece, the one that was with you on the 9th, have you seen her since January 9th, 2024?
No.
Now I want to talk about the day after that you guys went to FC, so January 10th. Do you recall if Mr. Butts was at work that day?
I don't think he was.
What makes you think that he wasn't?
I believe he called me like 3 times, 4 times. No reason for him to call me if he was standing right next to me.
Judge, I don't think he's speculating, so that's what he believes.
Can you ask the question? Re-ask the question.
Yes. So you said that you don't believe he was at work because he would call you, or he called you so often?
He called me. We had a 30-minute conversation on one account, and then we had another conversation about 15 minutes. So
So that makes you believe in your mind that he was at the shop with you?
What's the question first?
He's asking, based on those conversations, in his mind to him, that means that Mr. Bucks was not at the shop with him. I don't think that's leading.
It's stating a conclusion.
He said he already stated that he wasn't at the shop. Reading to him. So I'll overrule.
Thank you, Sheriff. You can answer.
one more time. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So based on the length of those phone calls and the times of them, did that make you believe that Mr. Bucks was not at the shop?
Right.
Did Jarvis Butts ever mention to you about his niece being missing?
No.
Have you talked to Mr. Butts, aside from that jail call that we played, since turning himself in?
No.
And do you know someone, do you know any of Jarvis's siblings?
Yes.
And which sibling do you know?
I met his brother and I met his sister.
You talked to his sister, well, strike that. Do you remember would his sister ever come to the shop?
Sporadically.
Sporadically, okay. And are there times that you talk to her?
Yes.
Okay. And had you talked to her about Jarvis's niece being missing?
After the police questioned me, I believe she came up there and we spoke about it, yes.
And Mr. Wright, I asked you earlier about if you'd seen Mr. Butts in the courtroom, so that you couldn't see him.
Yes.
Fair? Okay. Your Honor, may I approach? Yes. And I'm showing you People's Proposed Exhibit 9. Can you tell me if you recognize that photo?
Yes.
And who is it in that photo?
Jarvis.
Okay. And that's Jarvis Butts?
Yes.
Okay. Now I move for the admission of People's Proposed Exhibit 9.
Okay, exhibit as People's Exhibit 9.
Thank you. Mr. Wright, I kind of want to direct your attention back to People's Proposed Exhibit 3, or People's Exhibit 3, I'm sorry. And if you can you see it from here where I'm holding it?
Yes.
Okay, and do you know who this person in this photo is now?
Yes.
Okay. And who do you know her as now?
Naziah.
January next was in 24. Do you see any injuries on him?
No, I don't believe I've seen any injuries.
Really further, Judge. Okay, Rob? Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Ray.
Good morning.
You said that, I believe, in your testimony that you have known Mr. Butts since about 2018, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And you said you met at Frank's, the shop that you looked at.
That's correct.
And you said you guys worked together at Frank's for about 2 years?
That's correct.
And so that means in about 2020, you opened up the shop on Connor, is that?
No, in 2021, I went to prison.
Okay.
So that's why we didn't work together for that period of time.
And so you came back
I came back and we went back to the same thing.
at Frank's?
Yes.
And then what year was that?
That was 2023.
Okay. And so then how long after you came back were you, the two of you at Frank's together?
Maybe a few months to maybe like the middle of the year. So maybe around either June. It was before summer, so maybe around April. It was still a little cold outside.
Okay. So like early spring of 2023 is when you said that you think that you opened up the shop at 9
Yes, it could have been earlier than that, but yes, around about.
And so you became business partners?
Yes,
50-50 business partners?
yes,
Okay. You also consider Mr. Butts a friend at that point?
yes.
As far as the business arrangement, you said it was a 50-50 split. Did you split it every day at the end of the day? Or?
Every day at the end of the day.
Now back around the beginning of 2024, maybe the end of 2023, were you seeing a woman in Clinton Township?
A woman in Clinton Township?
Yes. A friend of a woman named Shannon Harris?
In 24?
Yes.
No.
Or ever?
Yes.
When were you seeing her?
It probably was 2000 and maybe 19 or 20.
So before you went?
Before I went to prison.
Okay. Did you and Mr. Butts ever have a falling out about that?
No.
Now you and Mr. Butts, did you talk about your personal lives?
Sometimes, yes.
You spent good days at work together, right?
Right.
So presumably it came up.
Of course.
Talk about girlfriends.
Of course.
Did women often come to the shop looking for Mr. Butts?
Sporadically.
Did he talk to you about the various women that he would be seeing? Or juggling, maybe?
That happened.
Okay. Did it sometimes cause drama at the shop?
It happens.
Women would come up and confront Mr. Butts,
It happens.
maybe about other women that he was seeing?
Happens.
Did you ever feel like that was affecting the business?
Not at Frank's.
What about at the business that you owned in Connor?
No, it didn't happen as much there.
Didn't happen as much in Connor?
Right.
Now, sometime, I guess, while the two of you all were working together, you had a friend that was, I guess, talking to or trying to date one of Mr. Butts' daughters. Is that correct?
That happened.
The daughter was 21, 22.
She was somewhere around there. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, around that age, 20, 21, 22.
And that caused an issue for Mr. Butts.
It did.
He got pretty upset with this friend.
It did. I was in prison at the time, so, but yes, I was involved directly.
Okay. Did you ever hear about an altercation that happened between the two of them?
Some kind of altercation did occur, yes.
Was it your impression that Mr. Butts was pretty protective of her?
Yeah,
based on that?
based on that.
Do you know how many children Mr. Butts has?
13?
And you said that some of them would come to the shop.
Yes, that.
You're familiar with them?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna ask you to name all of them, but at the shop on Connor, you said his sons would come,
His son will come sometimes and stay today with us.
and his daughter.
She'll come sometimes and stay today with us.
And what's her name, do you recall?
No, I don't want to misname it.
Okay.
I think it's something with a J or something like that, though, but I'm not 100% sure.
Was she like a teenager?
He has a teenager. She come up there sometime, but not really. The littlest one, maybe 9, 7, 8, 9, somewhere around there.
Okay. And then his niece would also come?
Yes.
Would she come typically with his own children?
When I first met her, yes, that's how I met her with his daughter. She would always come with his daughter. They would come up there sometimes to get air in their tires, maybe money, just typical kid stuff.
Did he ever, or did the two of you ever have them like doing chores around the shop?
Sometimes.
Did Mr. Butts talk to you about his children?
Yes.
Did you talk about spending time with them?
Yes, I believe he lived with the majority of them.
And you said that, you mentioned Tasha, she's one of the mothers of some of his children,
Yes.
correct? Was that who he was living with at the time?
No, I don't believe so.
Now, you said, I believe in your testimony, that you had been to Ypsilanti twice with Mr. Butts. Is that,
Or 3 times, one of the.
it
Yes.
possibly could have been 3?
It could have possibly been 3. I'm not 100% certain on that.
Now, one of the times that his niece was at the shop was, you said, on January the 9th.
First time I seen her by herself. Yes.
That's because you all picked her up on Harper.
Yes.
Did Mr. Butts seem surprised that he saw her?
I'm not sure. I couldn't really, we was riding. I wasn't really paying attention to his expression. He just said, "Hey, there go my niece." I didn't see her, so he pointed her out to me.
And at that time, you only knew her as his niece, correct?
Yes.
You didn't have any idea what her name was at that time?
No.
And in fact, the reason you learned her name was when you identified that picture that was just shown to you and the police told you what her name was. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Now, in the time that you were at the shop on the 9th with Mr. Butts and his niece, did you see any inappropriate behavior or anything that made you raise your eyebrows between the two of them?
No.
What about any of the other times that his niece would have been there at the shop? Did you ever see any behavior that made you question or thought was inappropriate?
I can't say I have.
Now, the 3 of you rode back from Ypsilanti on January 9th. That was your testimony, right?
Yes.
Was there any conversation between Mr. Butts and his niece in the car?
There was no conversation between really nobody. I had the music on.
And I'm going to back up to earlier in the day when the 3 of you came to the shop the first time after you picked her up on Harper.
Okay.
You said that she pretty much stayed in Mr. Butts' car the whole time?
Yes.
She said she was on her phone.
Yes.
Did you ever leave the shop at all after that before you guys went to Ypsilanti?
Maybe in the gas station?
So not really, just the attached gas station?
Yeah, maybe to the gas station. I'm not sure if I actually physically left the building. I'm not sure.
Would it have been for more than like 5 or 10 minutes?
If I ever left, no, maybe to use the bathroom, so maybe 10 minutes tops if I had to leave.
You never went out to grab parts at any place that you can recall?
Not that I can recall.
Now, after January 9th, what was the next time you said that you saw Mr. Butts?
The 11th.
The 11th. Okay. He was not at work on the 10th?
No.
Okay. Were you there on time on the 10th? Do you recall?
I'm never on time.
What time did you come in on the 10th?
Probably about 8:40. I go to the gym, so we open at 8, but I'm never there at 8. So I probably got there maybe 8:49.
And on the 10th, were you the one that opened the shop?
Yes.
Now, you were aware at that time that Mr. Butts was supposed to turn himself in and serve a jail sentence in William County Jail. That's correct?
Yes, I am.
You had talked about that, obviously, because he was going to have to leave the business for a while.
Correct.
Okay. And you actually went to the courthouse on the day he turned himself in to support him, right?
Yes, I was there.
And he was going to be serving time on a gun possession charge, is that right?
That's correct.
If you know.
That's correct.
Okay. And because you were kind of paying attention to what was happening, you understood that the court date had gotten changed a few times?
Yeah, he told me that it had changed. So I believe he was supposed to get sentenced on the 9th, but it got pushed back to February the 7th. So I learned that through him. I didn't go to court with him that time, but just when he got sentenced, I went to court with him that time.
Are you familiar with any court dates that he had out in Clinton Township around that time?
He did say he had something going on with his daughter, I believe. I believe it was domestic with his daughter of some sort. So yeah, I was familiar with that, I believe.
Or was he going to court for that at that same time?
Around about, I believe it was supposed to be, yes.
Now you got involved because at some point you became aware that the Detroit police wanted to talk to you back in February.
They came to the shop and picked me up
Okay, they actually took you down.
to headquarters.
Okay, and that was the first time on February 13th, is that right?
That was February 13th, day before Valentine's Day.
Then you said you spoke with them again a couple days later.
Yes, I believe the first time I spoke with him, I was still on tether, so it had to be some time after I was on tether, yeah.
And then you spoke with them again in March, right?
Yes.
And was that a phone conversation?
No, all of our conversations was via person.
Okay. And then a couple weeks ago, did you also speak with the police
Yes.
and the prosecutors?
I don't know if a prosecutor, but yes, I believe she was.
As far as you can remember?
Yes.
Okay. Now, in February, when you were talking to the police, by that time, had you seen anything on the news or on social media about who you later learned was Mr. Butt's niece?
No.
So at the time you were interviewed by the police, you didn't know anything about it?
No.
Okay. And at the time that you were talking to the police, while you were on tether in February, you were on tether because you're on parole, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And correct me if I'm wrong, but you had about 3 weeks left on parole at that point.
Not 3 weeks in February.
Yes.
I had 3 weeks left on tether. I got off actual parole in May.
Okay. So the tether was coming off, but you were still going to have to report.
3 more months after the tether came off.
And in February, I believe it was the second conversation that you had with a detective, presumably, you and the officer or the detective spoke about the tether, right? Do you recall that?
I believe so, yes.
Because you were concerned every time you would go somewhere, you would be late, you were very
Oh, yeah,
about
yes.
being home on time.
Right.
And in fact, he actually said, hey, we'll take care of you if anything pops up, right?
He said, I talked to your PO, so you're fine.
Okay. And he also kind of warned you that you didn't want to get somebody upset about the way you were answering these questions and have somebody feel some kind of way about you. Do you recall him saying that to you?
He may have said something to that extent. I'm not sure though. This is the first conversation or the second you asked me
The
about?
second. Right at the top of the conversation.
I can't really recall every word. I know they were a little agitated. I was a little agitated. It was a lot going on, so maybe.
It's possible that conversation was
It's possible.
Did you understand any of his statements while you were talking to him to mean that the police wanted you to give answers, and if you didn't give answers, that they could mess with your parole or your tether status?
Also speculation,
It goes to his state of mind.
but he doesn't know what happened.
about what he believes might happen and could impact what he said.
Speculation, as far as what they actually asked.
Was it your understanding that if you didn't give certain answers, that the police might impact your parole or your tether status? Was that a concern of yours?
I mean, it was already affecting my tether, so I wasn't really, you know what I mean, concerned about how he placed his questions upon me, no. So, I mean, more of the concern was my being picked up by the police. Police contact is a violation of parole within itself, so I was violated for the police contact irregardless to whatever he was saying. You get what I mean? So, no, I don't believe it impacted anything at all, actually.
But your parole wasn't actually revoked because they took you to the station and interviewed you, right?
No.
Now, we talked a little bit about this a few minutes ago. Mr. Butts was juggling a few different women during the time you knew him.
Yes.
And it's hard to keep up with all his baby mamas.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't my job, so yeah.
And what he said weren't his baby mamas.
Right.
Did you get the impression from Mr. Butts that he didn't want these women to know about each other?
Of course.
And a woman named Tasha was one of Mr. Butts' ladies.
Yes.
And that was one of his baby mamas.
Yes. To my belief, yes.
So there was some discussion about a phone call between you and Mr. Butts while he was at the jail about his phone, right?
Yes.
And after that phone conversation, Tasha actually came into the shop to get some work done on the car.
Yes, she came to get a oil change in a headlight.
And that's when you went and kind of looked for the phone.
Yes.
Now, you didn't really want Tasha to know that you were looking for the phone, right?
Of course not.
And the reason for that was?
She's gonna wonder why I'm looking for a phone.
And was it your impression that Mr. Butts was afraid it would reveal that he was talking to other women?
Of course.
And so you're trying to help him keep the peace?
Of course.
Yes. I think the testimony was on the 9th, and correct me if I'm wrong, but there was an issue during the day. Mr. Butts had his escalator there, is that correct?
Yes.
And he had run out of gas.
Yes.
And he had to get gas, is that right?
That's correct.
At some point you pushed him to the, or helped push the escalator to a gas pump.
Yes.
Do you recall leaving with him that night and going and getting gas together?
For his truck, or what we saying? Or for like a gas can? What do you?
Well, either one. Did you all leave the shop to, and perhaps you in your vehicle and he in his vehicle and end up at a gas station
No.
on the night?
No.
You don't have any recollection of that?
I don't remember that. No.
Okay. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
Can you redirect? Okay. Mr. Wright, you are done testifying.
Thank you.
Okay. As we discussed in our last hearing, we are only hearing one witness today in this case, correct?
That's correct, I guess.
We have an agreed upon date starting back up January 6th.
Yes.
I have blocked up January 6th, 7th, and 8th, and the people have, is it correct, 21 more witnesses?
Roughly, yes.
Possibly. Okay. Anything else that we discuss on this matter before we start the next?
Not on this issue. No, yes.
Okay, we are off the record. And I will allow for a 15-minute break, so everyone can use the restroom, get some water, come back for the next thing.
I just see you. I'm sorry. Let's look at it my next question. I'm here. Nice to meet you.